Romantic Tales. Chapter 60. Lawyer Luo immediately pushed the documents over and smiled. Since Miss Hua is fine with it, please sign it. I promise to settle this privately so I can get my client to transfer the money. But can 700,000 yuan buy my brother's health? Do you know that he almost suffered from cerebral palsy? Asked Huamin coldly, glaring at Lawyer Luo. When Mr. Luo saw that the situation had changed, his expression changed slightly. Then he adjusted his glasses and said, "We're also very sorry about this. My client was also drunk at the time. He didn't do it on purpose. He knows that he was wrong." "I don't think so. He hasn't shown his face even once since the accident. Also, he fled right after the accident. I don't think he would have taken responsibility for it if it hadn't caused such a huge impact. That's not it. How about this, Miss Hua? We're both straightforward people, so I won't hide it from you. The compensation for the other two victims is 500,000 yuan each, and one of them even lost a leg. Your brother is said to be out of danger and the surgery was very successful. I'll give you an additional 100,000 yuan. 800,000 yuan. That way you'll get a lot more than the other two. Is that okay? How about that? 800,000 yuan. Then I'll pay 800,000 yuan. Will you let me hit you so hard that you end up like my brother?" Lawyer Luo's expression immediately darkened. "Miss Hua, we are very sincere. Since it has already happened, we have to face it. You have to know that we only paid 850,000 yuan for the girl who died. Comparatively speaking, 800,000 yuan is already a lot. Also, we will transfer the money immediately and won't delay the payment by even a day. Don't you need money?" "Compared to money, I believe that I need a fair outcome more," said Huamin as she stared at Lawyer Luo. "So you're saying, I won't accept a private settlement. I will file a lawsuit with the court. According to the current traffic laws, your client has caused a serious car accident. Not only was he drunk driving, but he was also fleeing. Speeding on campus is strictly prohibited. I believe the judge will give me a reasonable explanation." After Huamin said this, Lawyer Luo suddenly laughed. "What are you laughing at?" Huamin was a little angry. "I'm laughing at how naive you are, Miss Hua. I didn't expect such a naive girl like you to exist." "What do you mean?" "Miss Hua, you probably don't know my client's background. My client, LV Gong, is just a 21-year-old college student. Do you know what his parents do?" Huamin remained silent and waited for Huamin. "It's okay to tell you. His parents are both officials and his relatives are officials. To put it bluntly, he is the second generation of officials. What do you think the court can win against someone with such a background? If you know what's good for you, why don't you just accept the compensation and let the matter rest? Even if someone's daughter died, they wouldn't speak as righteously as you. Don't think that you're some kind of judge who wants justice. Let me tell you, there is no justice in this world. If you have money and power, you are the sky. If you don't have money and power, you will be stepped on by others. You might feel uncomfortable saying this, but so what? It's the truth. He has a background? I'm so scared." Huamin smiled faintly. Then he continued, "Indeed, he has a powerful background. I can tell that this isn't a simple matter from the way the Ministry of Transportation and the police are dragging their feet. But so what? Do we have to spoil him just because he has a background? I'm not his mother. Why should I forgive him if he makes a mistake? Suing him in court is just a procedure. I have to go through with it. You can also choose to use your connections. But, don't forget, there's another place called the media. If the media makes too much noise and public opinion becomes too much, I want to see how long his powerful parents can protect him." After Huamin finished speaking, Lawyer Luo was completely speechless. Chapter 61. He originally thought that Huamin was just a naive little girl. He didn't expect her to be so meticulous. "Miss Hua, tell me, what do you want in order for you to stop? How much do you want? Just name a price." Mr. Luo thought that Huamin was making such a fuss because she wasn't satisfied with the compensation. "I think you don't understand my intentions. I may have been short of money before, but now I have enough money for my brother's surgery. So no matter how much money you give me, it won't stop me from suing you. If you really want to settle this peacefully, why don't you let the drunk driver who caused the serial car accident stay in prison for 3 to 5 years and teach him how to be a good person? That way he won't continue to hurt others after drinking." "Are you kidding me? You want my client to turn himself in? That's impossible." "Really? Then I'll see you in court, Mr. Luo. With that, Huamin stood up and left. Miss Hua, is there no room for negotiation? Mr. Luo didn't give up and chased after her with questions. This time Huamin didn't even look back. She opened the door and walked out. She couldn't imagine what kind of person was thinking when he drove a Porsche around the campus, causing 1 death and 3 serious injuries. The one who died was his girlfriend. In that kind of situation, if his girlfriend was seriously injured, shouldn't he immediately call the police or 120? Why would he get out of the car, open the door and run away without caring about the lives of others? She heard that the dead girl missed the best time to be saved because she was sent to the hospital too late. Otherwise she might have survived. How could she forgive such a scumbag? Her little brother almost became disabled. His health couldn't be measured by money. Late at night in a certain RV, you mean that the other party won't compromise? No matter how much they pay. A middle-aged man asked faintly. Yes, Mr. Liu. That girl is very stubborn and insists on suing. She even said that she will alert the media and make sure your son goes to jail. Ridiculous. My son isn't someone that lowly commoner can do whatever she wants. Yes, Mr. Liu, you're right. Next Mr. Luo probed carefully. We will take care of the rest. You just need to get the other 3 families to sign first. Huamin went back to his rented apartment and changed his clothes. Then he took the bus back to the hospital because he was worried about his mother. Mom, Jishin is fine now. He'll wake up tomorrow. Don't worry. Let me ask you, where did you get the money to pay for Jishin's surgery? I heard from the doctor that it cost hundreds of thousands. I borrowed it from a friend. Which friend has the ability to lend you so much money? Don't tell me you've spoken to that damned mother of yours? No, with that guy's personality he would never give you so much money. Did you do something shameful? Yang Mirong stared into her daughter's eyes and asked coldly. Mom, I didn't. Huamin thought that if her mother found out that she was married to Qin Chu, then she would be condemned for eternity. Then let me ask you, how are things going between you and Ning Ziyuan? Are you still going to marry him? Yang Meirong asked again. At the mention of Ning Ziyuan, Huamin fell silent for a moment. In fact, she didn't know what to say. Why aren't you talking? Are you mute? Yang Meirong continued to interrogate. After a moment of silence, Huamin slowly said, Mom, Ning Ziyuan and I have broken up. We won't have anything to do with each other anymore. Is it because of that kid from the Qin family? No. Huamin immediately denied. Don't blame me for not reminding you of how your Uncle Jing died back then. The Qin family is our enemy. If you dare to have anything to do with their family again, don't blame me for flaying your skin, Yang Meirong threatened fiercely. I know. Huamin obviously didn't have much confidence. No one knew how difficult it was for her. If she didn't marry Qin Chu, Jishin might have died a long time ago. Just then Huamin's phone rang. When she saw the caller ID, she immediately felt guilty. What she was afraid of really happened. Who else could it be but Qin Chu with 8,866 yuan? Chapter 62. Mom, I'm going out to take a call. It's getting late, you should get some rest. I'll get you discharged tomorrow and then we'll go see Jishin. After speaking, Huamin carefully left the room with his phone in hand. Hello. She quietly picked up the phone. Where are you? Qin Chu asked. The hospital. When are you going back? I'm working the night shift. When do you get off work? Tomorrow morning. I'll pick you up. No need. Why not? Qin Chu was clearly displeased. Did he have to remind her that they were already married? It's because your Audi R8 is too flashy and I don't want people to talk about it in the hospital. Plus, even the director's car isn't as good as yours. If Huamian remembered correctly, the director only drove an Audi A8. If she really got into an Audi R8 at the hospital entrance, her spine would probably be torn apart. On the other end, Qin Chu remained silent. Huamin thought he was angry. Actually, I can take the bus by myself, she added. Slam. He hung up the phone. This guy's temper was still the same as 7 years ago, arrogant and twisted. What a weirdo. After working the night shift, Huamin was extremely sleepy. When she woke up in the morning, she helped her mother get discharged. Then the two of them went to the VIP room together. Jishin hadn't woken up yet, but Dr. Liu said that his vitals had stabilized, and it was only a matter of time before he woke up. In the end, her mother stayed to take care of Jishin, and Huamin planned to go home and get a good night's sleep. It had been a few days and she felt like she was going to break down after being in the hospital for so long. When Huamin walked out of the hospital, a white Volkswagen CC stopped in front of her. Just as she was wondering what was going on, the person in the car rolled down the window and said, "Get in. Why are you here?" Huamin didn't think that Qin Chu would come and drive such a low-key Volkswagen CC. The cars behind kept honking because the arrogant car owner was standing at the entrance, seriously disrupting the traffic. Huamin didn't dare to stay any longer. He immediately opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. Satisfied, Qin Chu started the car and drove away. "You changed your car?" she asked softly. "It's my assistant's car. I borrowed it," Qin Chu said casually. God knows he called Xiao Yang early in the morning and said that he wanted to swap cars with him. Little Yang was very conflicted. He really didn't have the confidence to drive Boss Audi R8 to work. Also, what was so good about his CC that cost less than 300,000 yuan? Why did the boss take a fancy to it? After saying this, Huamin stopped talking. The two of them looked at each other in silence. "What do you want to eat?" Huamin was confused by Qin Chu's sudden question. "What do you want to eat?" "Let's not eat, I don't have much of an appetite. Chinese or Western?" Qin Chu didn't care about Huamin's reaction and continued to ask. After hesitating for a long time, she saw that this guy was still as domineering as before. She had no choice but to compromise. "Chinese then." 15 minutes later, the car stopped in front of first-class royal palace. Qin Chu took her in and went straight to the private room on the second floor. Then they ordered shrimp dumplings, crab congee and morning tea. Huamin hadn't eaten so much in the morning for a long time. While eating, she secretly glanced at Qin Chu. She saw him eating elegantly while flipping through the screen of his phone to check today's stock market. "I'm done." Huamin finally put down the spoon and slowly said. "And then you can pay with your card," Qin Chu said casually. Why do I have to pay?" Huamin was about to go crazy. She felt that Qin Chu shouldn't be such a stingy person. Besides, what kind of place was first-class royal palace? A breakfast here cost at least 1,000 yuan, right? She didn't have that much cash on her. She only had around 200 yuan for pocket money. Qin Chu raised his head, picked up a tissue and elegantly wiped the corner of his mouth. He looked at Huamin and said seriously, "My salary for this month was transferred to your card last night. Of course you have to pay." Huamin froze on the spot. Chapter 63. He said that he transferred his salary for this month to her card. This news came too suddenly and she didn't even have time to process it. "Waiter, the bill please," Qin Chu said. "Hello, your total bill is 1,080 yuan. "I'm looking for her," Qin Chu said casually as he pointed at Huamin. Huamin took out the only ICBC card from her bag. If she remembered correctly, there was less than 800 yuan left on this card. She didn't know how much money Qin Chu transferred to her. He wasn't messing with her, right? After the waiter swiped the card, he carefully returned it, and the two of them walked out of the restaurant together. Huamin was still struggling with the question, but she was too embarrassed to ask it. "Do you want to know how much my monthly salary is?" Qin Chu asked on her behalf when he saw how conflicted she was. Huamin immediately nodded her head. Her cute look made Qin Chu's lips curve up slightly. "Why don't you check your bank account on your phone?" What kind of stupid answer was that? Was he messing with her? Just then Qin Chu's phone rang. "Okay, I got it, but I have something important to take care of right now. Tell them to postpone the meeting for 30 minutes. After speaking, Qin Chu hung up the phone. "Since you have something important to take care of, let's go our separate ways here. I'll take the bus home." Qin Chu glanced at Huamin and said coldly, "The important thing I said was to take you home." Qin Chu looked at her like she was an idiot. Sometimes he really wondered if Huamin, a super genius with an IQ of 130, was actually a weirdo with a high IQ but a low EQ? After hearing this, Huamin's expression slowed down by half a beat. Then a warm feeling rose in her heart. "Let's go, get in the car." 20 minutes later, Qin Chu sent Huamin to her rented apartment. "Alright, I'm here. Please send me back." Huamin was still not used to Qin Chu's kindness. After all, they had been separated for more than 7 years. Suddenly living together in such an intimate relationship, there was really no way to adapt at all. "I'll pick you up after work." "There's no need for that. The rent here will be refunded. Move to my place." Qin Chu's tone was tough. Oh. Huamin immediately refused. Qin Chu stared at her with a complicated expression. We're husband and wife. We can't live separately right after we got married, right? Or do you think that after I helped you, you can ignore me for half a year and then ask for a divorce? Are you trying to burn the bridge after crossing the river? That's not what I meant, Huamin explained. Then it's settled. I'll pick you up tonight. Don't bring anything from here. We don't need anything over there. Without waiting for Huamin to reply, Qin Chu turned around and left. Huamin looked at the tall and handsome back and sighed slightly. It had been 7 years. His overbearing, arrogant, and prideful temper hadn't changed at all. In fact, it seemed to have gotten worse. But was it really convenient to move in with him? Didn't he live with his parents? She had met Mr. and Mrs. Qin years ago. They didn't like her at all. She didn't like them either. After Uncle Jing died, she saw Qin Chu's parents as murderers. Huamin couldn't imagine what it would be like to live under the same roof as her enemies. When Qin Chu returned to the company, there was still 5 minutes before the meeting. He walked straight into the meeting room and flipped through the documents his assistant gave him. Then he listened to the reports from the higher-ups of each department. An hour later, the meeting was over. Qin Chu hadn't said a single word. President Qin, the meeting is about to end. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Assistant Yang asked carefully. Qin Chu slowly closed the documents in his hands and looked around. All of the higher-ups lowered their heads. They didn't dare to make eye contact with their boss in case they made a mistake. Inform the finance department that all employees will receive double pay this month. President Qin, this. The good news came so suddenly that Assistant Yang didn't know what to say. The other higher-ups also had astonished expressions on their faces. Today, could it be some kind of auspicious day? Chapter 64. President Qin, did the company get a good project? One of the vice presidents asked, trying to suck up to Qin Chu. Qin Chu thought for a moment, then he leaned on his forehead and said thoughtfully, a good project? Yes, it's a project that I've been thinking about for years and now it's finally settled. That's great, President Qin. Can you tell us what the project is? We want to share the good news with you. The vice president continued to suck up to Qin Chu. To his surprise, Qin Chu slowly stood up, adjusted his collar and said faintly, you don't need to know. Anyways, today is a good day. Then Qin Chu turned around and left. The executives were left in a mess. Assistant Yang secretly counted with his 10 fingers. There were a total of 2,000 employees at GK's headquarters, and the employees' monthly salary was 8 million yuan. However, with one sentence from the president, they were offered 8 million yuan more this month. It seemed like rich people could do whatever they wanted. Their boss was more than just a little capricious. President Qin. Assistant Yang followed behind Qin Chu and ran over. What is it? There's something I want to say. Say it. But I'm afraid you'll be mad. Then don't say it. Qin Chu's words almost made Assistant Yang cry. No, President Qin, I really want to talk to you. Say it. When are you going to give my car back to me? Assistant Yang looked like he was about to cry. He drove his boss's Audi R8 to work every day, and not only did he have to endure criticism from his colleagues, but he also had to worry about getting to and from work every day. He was afraid that he would scratch his boss's car and that he couldn't afford to pay for it. Although his boss's car was insured, if he scratched his boss's beloved car, then it wouldn't be a problem that money could solve. If that happened, he might even lose his job. Speaking of which, Assistant Yang's job was like a free lunch that fell from the sky. The former president's assistant was a very capable middle-aged woman, but as soon as the new president took office, he transferred her to a subsidiary company to be the president. The empty position was supposed to be filled by an outsider, but the new president chose him, the most inconspicuous person out of all the recruiters. When GK called him and told him to come to work, he thought he had encountered a scammer. Later he found out that the new CEO had chosen him for 2 reasons. Firstly, he was a man and the new CEO did not seem to like to have too much contact with women. Secondly, he also studied in Erzhong High School. It was said that the CEO was also a student of Erzhong High School. Speaking of which, they were schoolmates. Yang wasn't stupid. He could vaguely sense that Second High held an extraordinary significance to the new president. However, the president was so capricious. He borrowed his Volkswagen CC and gave him an Audi R8, which made him very depressed. After listening to Yang's request, Qin Chu pondered for a while and asked, "Is the car not fast enough?" Assistant Yang hurriedly waved his hands. No, it's simply too fast. Don't you like that color?" No, President Qin, I like the color too. It's high-end and classy." "That means you don't think it's cool enough." "If that's the case, I have a Ferrari and a Lamborghini in my garage." Before Qin Chu could finish, Assistant Yang almost knelt down. "President Qin, it's really cool, but it's not suitable for someone of my status. I'm just an assistant, how can I afford such a good car? These past few days I've been tossing and turning in bed, unable to sleep. I'm scared that I'll be scratched during the day, and I'm scared that my car will be stolen at night. President Qin, please do me a favor and return my car to me." Seeing how sincere Assistant Yang was, Qin Chu thought for a while and nodded. "Okay, since you're in such a difficult situation, I'll return your car to you." "Thank you for your understanding, President Qin." Assistant Yang finally let out a sigh of relief. "Then call the 4S shop later and order me a car that's exactly the same as yours." Assistant Yang was once again confused. He didn't understand why the president lowered his status and insisted on driving a Volkswagen. Was it just because it was locally produced? Was the president very patriotic? "Sir, do you know how to sing the March of the Volunteer Army?" After hesitating for a while, Assistant Yang weakly asked. Qin Chu frowned slightly and looked at this weird male assistant in confusion. Chapter 65. "Sir, I'll go buy a car for you right now." Seeing the president's expression, Assistant Yang didn't dare to say anything more and turned around to leave. Qin Chu sat quietly in his office under the warm sunlight. He carefully opened the drawer of his desk and took out the yellowed old photo. He quietly looked at it for a while. Finally, he carefully put it back. Luxury Design Department Jiang Linyue heard that the president was in a good mood today and even gave her double pay, so she thought this was a rare opportunity. After work, Jiang Linyue purposely carried a lot of documents and walked towards the president's office in her 5-inch heels. As she wished, she saw the president walk out of his office. Just as the two were about to walk past each other, Jiang Linyue purposely slipped. Then all the documents in her hands flew out. She also elegantly fell to the ground. Jiang Linyue didn't realize what happened until she was lying on the ground and felt pain all over her body. Shouldn't the president be the one to catch her at a critical moment and gently hug her? That's how romance novels are written, and that's how the 8 p.m. TV shows are played. Who could tell her why she didn't succeed? Qin Chu looked at the female employee who fell in front of him and frowned slightly. Walking over her was too ungentlemanly. Qin Chu decided to walk around Jiang Linyue, as if she was nothing more than an obstacle in his way. Then he picked up his phone and called his assistant, Assistant Yang. "Sir, what are your orders?" "Tell the administration department that starting tomorrow, all female employees at the company are not allowed to wear shoes over 3 inches high." Understood, sir." Although Assistant Yang didn't know why the president gave such a strange order, he did as he was told. Jiang Linyue looked at the president's back as he left, wanting to cry. What could she do to get close to this sugar daddy? She felt a sharp pain in her foot. Would it break? She really did everything she could to get the president's attention. Huamin took a hot shower at home, washed a lot of clothes and did a thorough cleaning. Just as she was about to take a break, she heard a knock on the door. She looked at the clock. It was 5:30. It seemed that the person who came at this time should be Qin Chu. Sure enough, when she opened the door, she saw Qin Chu standing at the door. He was wearing a navy blue custom-made Italian suit. He hadn't had time to change, which meant that he had just gotten off work. "I'll pick you up. Go. I still have a lot of things here. I'll take them all." "No, I'll get someone to take care of this. You just need to bring some necessities. I'll wait for you in the car." 10 minutes later, Huamin came out of the room with a cardboard box. Inside were some of her favorite books and a watermelon pillow. She had lived in this house for more than a year, so she really couldn't bear to move out all of a sudden. However, Qin Chu was right. Since the two of them were already married, it was indeed a bit unreasonable to continue living separately. "When you check out, don't forget to take back the 2,000 yuan deposit that I paid," Huamin reminded as he sat in the passenger seat. Qin Chu was a bit speechless, but he still nodded. On the way back, Huamin was a bit uneasy. "Are we going to live with your parents?" After a long moment of hesitation, Huamin finally asked. "Are you kidding me? So you're saying that we're going to live alone?" Huamin was a bit excited. What do you think? Chinchu asked back. Chapter 66. Huamin bit her lips and didn't say anything else. However, she was secretly relieved. She really didn't like Chinchu's parents and didn't want to have anything to do with them. Half an hour later, they arrived at Imperial Park, the largest wealthy district in First Ring Road. Chinchu slowly stopped the car. Huamian raised her head and looked at the luxurious wealthy district, feeling emotional. This place opened 2 years ago and was only sold last year. It was said that the unit price per square meter was more than 80,000 yuan. This was a famous wealthy district in Sea City. Apparently, a famous feng shui master from Hong Kong was hired to take a look. It was backed by a mountain facing a lake, and on the left was the road. It was as the saying went. Azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird and black tortoise were all here. Because it was close to the largest natural lake, Lake Emerald, the property prices here were always high. Netizens on the forum once joked that this place was a treasure trove of feng shui. If the direction was reversed, it would be as good as the Sun Yat-sen Mausoleum. Are we staying here? Yes. Chinchu nodded and led Huamin inside. It was a small high-rise design. The tallest building was only 16 floors. The space between the floors was large and there was plenty of sunlight. The architectural style was British style with a dark red exterior. Huamin liked it very much. The district's lobby was luxuriously decorated and could be compared to a 5-star hotel. Chinchu led Huamin into the spacious elevator and pressed the 16th floor. It seemed like it was the top floor, Huamin thought to herself. A few seconds later they arrived at the 16th floor. Huamin looked around and was surprised to find that there was only one unit on this floor. It seemed like there was only one unit per floor. Rich people really could do whatever they wanted. Chinchu took out the key and opened the door. Huamin followed him in. Huamin's eyes lit up when she saw the facilities inside. It was a spacious and bright duplex. Everything upstairs and downstairs could be seen at a glance. The white European-style decor was grand and gorgeous. At a glance, it was at least 200 square meters. In such a sky-high price area, it was really a luxurious house among luxurious houses. Because we decided to get married at the last minute, we didn't have time to choose an address, so we bought this place at the last minute. We'll make do with it for a while. When the renovation of the Nanshan Villa is done, we'll move there. No need, it's fine here. Huamin swallowed his saliva and replied slowly. If I didn't hear wrong, Chinchu said that he bought this place at the last minute and wanted to make do with it. Oh my god, 80,000 yuan per square meter. A prime location in First Ring Road, less than 10 minutes walk from the first hospital. Chinchu actually said that he would make do with a house that cost more than 10 million yuan and renovations that cost more than 1 million yuan. Everything here is complete. If you need anything, just tell me and I'll get someone to prepare it. All right. Huamin nodded. At this moment Chinchu's phone rang. Hey, I'll go back now. Wait for me. After hanging up the phone, Chinchu looked at Huamin and said, I have to go back to the Nanshan Villa for a bit. You should get some rest. Huamin nodded. Chinchu got up and was about to leave when he suddenly thought of something. He walked in a few steps, took out a key card and a bunch of keys and placed them in Huamin's palm. Take these are the keys. The real estate certificate is on the coffee table. You can keep these. After speaking, Chinchu turned around and left. Huamin held onto the keys, a little confused. She just moved in with Chinchu. She glanced at the real estate certificate on the coffee table and opened it. Sure enough, she was the owner of the house. At this moment she actually felt her eyes sting. It wasn't that a man spending money on you was a good thing. It was just that she understood Chinchu. Although he was domineering and overbearing, he would always give you what he thought was the best. That was his way of being nice. It was like this 7 years ago and it was still like this 7 years later. Chinchu, he was the man that she once loved so deeply that it was engraved in her heart. Huamin stared at the real estate certificate in a daze. Then she suddenly thought of something and quickly took out her phone to open up the mobile banking app. Then she entered the password and checked her balance. If she remembered correctly, Chinchu said that he transferred this month's salary to her card yesterday. She really wanted to know how much Sundrachin's monthly salary was. Chapter 67. When Huamin saw his balance, he was shocked. He carefully looked at the zeros. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million? That's right, with Huamin's 800 yuan balance he had a total of 1,800,000 yuan. So, Qin Chu's monthly salary was 1 million yuan? 1 million yuan wasn't a lot for Qin Chu. The GK Corporation's total assets were at least a few billion yuan. A mere 1 million yuan was just a formality. The finance department gave the president a symbolic salary of 1 million yuan each month. However, 1 million yuan was already an astronomical figure for Huamin. Did that mean she would never have to worry about food and clothing? Did this mean she married into a rich family? Lying on the sofa, Huamin looked at the mansion, the real estate certificate, the marriage certificate, and the balance on his bank account. All of a sudden he felt like everything was surreal. It took Qin Chu more than 30 minutes to drive from Imperial Park to the hillside mansion. When he got home it was already past 6 in the evening, close to 7. After Qin Chu parked his car, he noticed that there were a few more cars in the parking lot. There was a Bentley, a Maserati and a Porsche 918. It seemed like someone came to visit. Qin Chu silently took out his keys and opened the door. As expected, the living room was filled with people. "Chu, you're back. Just in time, we're all waiting for you to eat." "I'm not eating." After speaking, Qin Chu walked past the crowd and headed upstairs. He came back to get some things. Then he would officially move out. However, Qin Chu's parents didn't seem to know. They called a few friends over, including 2 young girls who looked like spoiled socialites. When Qin Chu came downstairs, he had a paper bag in his hand. Inside were some of his personal belongings. Let me introduce you. This is Auntie Lu's daughter, Gao Meina, the daughter of the president of Fengxing Group. This is Uncle Zhao's sister, Zhao Yihuan, the daughter of the president of Xingqi Media Group. They are... Mom, I have something to do, so I'll leave first. By the way, I've been busy with work recently, so I won't be coming back to live. I bought a house for myself outside, so call me if you need anything. After saying this, Qin Chu left. Chu? Mama Qin felt awkward. She called her son a few times, but he didn't come back. Qin Yuman had not been in the city recently. He had gone on a trip to Switzerland with a few old friends. Qin Chu's mother took the opportunity to invite a few rich ladies who often had afternoon tea to the house. She even brought their daughters along. She wanted to create an opportunity for her son, but her son did not give her a chance at all. He even moved away. It was so sudden. Your son seems to be very busy, huh? A noblewoman awkwardly tried to smooth things over. Lady Qin smiled and said, "Don't mind him, huh? My son came back not long ago. As soon as he became the president of GK, he's been very busy. He rarely has dinner with us. It's okay, young people these days are all dedicated to their work. It's good to be busy." Another noblewoman smiled. "Auntie Qin Chu is so handsome, I like his type." Miss Gao smiled shyly. "Qin Chu is really arrogant, but I like him." The other noblewoman also looked satisfied. Lady Qin could only laugh awkwardly. "I'll ask him to come back for dinner next time. The company has been very busy lately, my son has been working overtime." Qin Chu drove straight to his home at Imperial Park. When he walked in, Huamin was already asleep on the sofa. She was only wearing a short-sleeved shirt and cropped pants. Her white ankles were exposed, making her look both seductive and cute. Qin Chu didn't say anything. He took off his suit jacket and covered her with it. Huamin was probably too tired, so she didn't notice at all. She didn't react until she smelled something delicious. It smelled like toast. She spent the afternoon cleaning up the rental apartment and didn't have time to cook. She must be hungry now. Huamin groggily woke up. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw the dazzling chandelier. She then realized that she was no longer in her rental apartment. This was her and Qin Chu's new home. "You're awake?" Qin Chu looked at her gently and asked. Chapter 68. Huamin looked up in a daze and saw Qin Chu sitting on the sofa next to him. He was wearing a coffee-colored shirt, casual pants, and a limited edition Patek Philippe diamond watch. He looked extremely luxurious. His fingers were flying across the keyboard of his laptop, and he looked like he was busy working. Huamin answered in a daze. "I made something, let's eat together." Before Huamin could respond, Qin Chu put down his laptop, got up and went into the kitchen. Then he brought out 2 servings of toast, bacon and 2 cups of steaming hot coffee. Huamin wanted to say that he wasn't hungry, but just as he was about to speak, his stomach grumbled. Qin Chu pushed the toast and coffee over and placed them on the coffee table. Huamin didn't want to be polite, so he picked it up and slowly ate. He didn't know if it was because he was hungry or something else, but the taste was amazing. The toast was smeared with butter and honey and it was incredibly sweet. Huamin just happened to be a person who liked sweets. Qin Chu's gaze instantly softened as he watched Huamin quietly eat the food he made. Just then Qin Chu's phone rang. He put down the coffee cup in his hand and slowly picked up his phone. "Hello? Son, why are you moving out all of a sudden?" Lady Qin seemed to mind a lot. "I've been busy with work lately and I've been working overtime a lot. It's inconvenient to drive back and forth. But you don't have to move out. Where's the new house? Are there maids, drivers and cleaners?" "Mom, I can take care of that myself." "Son, if you're not used to living here, remember to move back. I'm worried about you." "Mom, I'm an adult." "I know, but you'll always be a child in my eyes." "Chu, what do you think of the two girls I brought over tonight?" Lady Qin finally got to the point. "They're not good. Are you not satisfied with her appearance or her height? If you have any requirements, you can tell me. I will help you keep an eye out." Lady Qin persuaded her son earnestly. As Qin Chu answered the phone, he glanced at Huamin, who was drinking coffee with his head lowered. Then he said word by word, "Mom, the standard of a girl I like is 24 years old, 165 meters tall, 50 kilograms in weight, long black hair, big eyes, bare-faced, white t-shirts and jeans, and 2 dimples when she smiles." When Huamin heard this, he deliberately lowered his head even more. It wasn't that she liked to think too highly of herself, but why did she feel that the person Qin Chu was talking about was her? "Wait a minute. Let me take notes. Son, I will try my best to satisfy your requests." At the other end of the phone, Lady Qin didn't know what was going on and even became serious. "Okay, that's all. Rest early." After saying that, Qin Chu hung up the phone without waiting for the other side to reply. After eating in silence, Huamin got up and carried the plates into the kitchen. When she suddenly turned around, she was caught off guard and bumped into Qin Chu. She didn't know what this man was doing in the kitchen at this time. In an instant, the two of them were so close together that Huamin became nervous again. Qin Chu supported himself against the wall with both hands and wrapped Huamin in his arms. He lowered his head and looked at the person in his arms, his eyes filled with warmth. And Huamin was suddenly pressed against the wall without any warning. "Move aside. I'll bring the rest of the utensils in to wash," Huamin said, pretending to be calm. Qin Chu stared at her face for a full 3 seconds. "You don't have to do these things." After speaking, Qin Chu moved aside and made way for Huamin. Then he walked over to the sink and picked up the utensils to wash. Huamin didn't know what to do. When Qin Chu finished washing the utensils and came out, Huamin was still sitting on the sofa. It was already 10 o'clock at night. "It's late. We could sleep." Qin Chu leaned against the kitchen door with both hands in his pockets and looked at Huamin. "I'm not sleepy yet." "You sleep first," Huamin replied awkwardly. "Ha, you seem to be afraid of sleeping with me." Qin Chu's lips curled up slightly with a mischievous smile. Chapter 69. Huamin didn't expect Qin Chu to be so direct, so she was slightly surprised at first. Then she blushed and replied, "No. If you're not afraid, then what are you waiting for? Go to bed." After speaking, Qin Chu turned around and walked upstairs to the bedroom. When Qin Chu wasn't home that night, Huamin already had a general understanding of the structure of the house. It was a 200 square meter duplex. Downstairs was a spacious living room, dining room, bathroom, kitchen, and a study. There seemed to be 3 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs. With a layout like this, there was enough space for the two of them to live in, even if they had 2 more children. Seeing Qin Chu go upstairs first, Huamin really regretted her stupid mouth. Why did she answer so carelessly? Great, if she didn't go with him, it would seem like she was going back on her word. However, she really wasn't prepared to go with him. 7 years ago she loved Qin Chu deeply, but it didn't mean that she still loved him. To be honest, she didn't even know how she felt about Qin Chu. She only married him for Jixin's safety. Of course, there was also a little bit of personal feelings mixed in. Qin Chu walked into the first bedroom on the 2nd floor, and Huamin slowly followed behind. The room was very spacious and the black and white decor suited Qin Chu's simple style. "Why are you following me? Do you want to sleep with me that much?" Qin Chu half-jokingly looked at Huamin. Huamin was a little confused and she didn't know how to respond. "Your bedroom is next door, good night." After speaking, Qin Chu slammed the door shut. He shut the innocent-looking Huamin outside the door. Huamin didn't even have time to react. Qin Chu almost couldn't help but fiercely kiss her. After Qin Chu closed the door, he slowly leaned against it. Although he really wanted to hug her to sleep, he knew that she wasn't ready yet. He didn't want to force her. He wanted to give her time. Slowly he found all the feelings he had 7 years ago. She was already his legal wife, wasn't she? At this thought, Qin Chu's lips curled up into a satisfied smile. Only then did Huamin realize what Qin Chu had just said. He walked to the second bedroom and opened the door. The interior was beige with purple decorations. It was her favorite color. So he remembered everything and he had prepared everything. She thought he would force her, but he didn't. Qin Chu, how do you want me to treat you? Huamin touched the white vanity with a melancholic expression. She admitted that she didn't have that much hatred anymore. Every time she needed help, this man stood up for her. But since you love me so much, why did you disappear for 7 years? We've already wasted 7 whole years. Huamin was melancholy for a long time. In the end, she took a hot bath in the bathroom before tiredly lying down on the bed. She had always been picky about her bed. In the past, when she went out to play and stayed in a hotel, she would lose sleep. She thought it would be the same tonight, but to her surprise, she slept well. The room was filled with the faint scent of lavender and the colorful lights were dreamy. Every design was carefully designed. Huamin was a little suspicious. Did Qin Chu really buy this house at the last minute? Why was it so satisfying? Late at night, the moonlight shone through the window and cast a faint halo. Qin Chu gently pushed open the door, walked in and leaned against the window. His eyes were filled with love as he looked at the person sleeping on the bed. No one knew how long he had waited for this day. No one knew how much he loved this woman named Huamin in this world. The next morning, when Huamin got up, it was only 7 o'clock, but Qin Chu was already gone. There were sandwiches and a glass of milk on the table. Huamin had to admit that she was touched. Before, when she lived under the same roof as Ning Ziyuan, she was the one who cooked. After a long time she got used to it. Now that someone was making breakfast for her, the feeling was indescribably sweet. GK headquarters. When Assistant Yang walked in, he heard music playing on the president's computer. After hearing the song, Assistant Yang almost spat out his food. President Qin, Assistant Yang stuttered. Chapter 70. Qin Chu raised his head from a pile of documents. He didn't say anything, but his eyes were clear, telling him to get straight to the point. President Qin, the car is ready. The 4S store just brought it back. It's in the company's garage. You can use it anytime. Got it. Qin Chu replied with 3 words and continued to work. And the song continued to be sung over and over again. I really want a companion when I'm lonely. Even when I'm busy, I want someone to eat breakfast with. Even though this idea is too simple. I just want someone to be with me no matter where tomorrow is. Love doesn't allow people to be half-hearted. It's a pity to make too many mistakes. If I really decide to give my heart, can someone tell her not to make me sad? Every time love comes near, I feel that she's holding you tightly. She moves your heart, covers your eyes, and doesn't let you know where she's going. Every time love approaches, she seems to be waiting for your response. The world is quiet, the only thing that's uneasy is your decision. Yang thought it was weird because the music that came out of the president's office was often Chopin, Mozart, Richard Clayderman, and Franz Liszt. He didn't have any musical talent, so he couldn't even appreciate Beethoven's Moonlight Symphony. But the president was different. He was a genius and studied abroad for 7 years. Naturally, his taste was different. Now, he suddenly changed from these piano masters to milk tea Lu Ruings when love approaches. The difference was like heaven and earth. Most importantly, when did his president take such a new path? President Qin? Is there anything else? Qin Chu raised his head and looked at the hesitant Yang. I like this song too. My wife and I are both fans of milk tea. Yang touched his head and smiled embarrassedly. Who's milk tea? Qin Chu's words almost made Yang faint. What was wrong with his president? He didn't know who milk tea was, but he still listened to her song over and over again. How could he be such a fan? She's the singer of this song. Oh. Qin Chu suddenly realized. The USB drive that he plugged into his computer today was not the one that he usually listened to. Yesterday, when the movers were helping Huamin check out, they tidied it up. It was said that they found it at Huamin's bedside. Qin Chu felt that these might be Huamin's favorite songs, so he listened to them all morning. No wonder Yang thought it was weird. After Huamin finished his breakfast, he went to work. In the VIP room, Jing Zhixin had already woken up. Although his mental state was still very weak, the doctor said that all his indicators were in good condition. He just needed to rest. Huamin stayed with Jing Zhixin for a while. When her brother finally fell asleep, she slowly walked out of the room. The moment she stepped out of the ward, her phone rang urgently. Huamin glanced at it. It was an unknown number. Hello. Miss Huamin, I'm Lawyer Luo. What do you want? After hearing the other party's identity, Huamin's reaction became noticeably colder. I want to remind Miss Hua to think about our proposal carefully. I've made myself very clear. I don't want to repeat myself. If Miss Hua is so unreasonable, then we can't guarantee your safety and that of your family. Are you threatening me? Miss Hua, you're a smart person. I don't need to say more. Do you believe that my phone has a recording device? I'll hand it over to the court. It'll be evidence against you. Huamin was extremely angry. Do you think I'm scared? Miss Hua, you should be careful. I told you that my client's family is very powerful. An ordinary person like you can't control them. Just because I'm ordinary, I should be bullied? What a joke. Go to hell. After speaking, Huamin mercilessly hung up the phone. Senior Sister Hua, someone's looking for you. Okay, coming. When she heard someone calling for her, Huamin immediately walked towards the OB/GYN department. At the door of the OB/GYN department, when Huamin saw who it was, she was clearly unhappy. It's you? Chapter 71. Hi, little sister Mian. I haven't seen you in a few days and you've gotten prettier. Hua Xiqian was wearing a dark purple suit and black trousers. He was dressed in luxurious designer clothes. Unlike Qin Chu, he was more flamboyant when it came to dressing up. He liked bright colors such as red and deep purple. Hua Xiqian was 29 years old this year. He was good-looking and looked like a gentleman. Plus, he was the vice president of the Hua Corporation, which made him very popular in the upper-class circle. It was said that he was also a master at picking up girls. His female companions ranged from celebrities in the entertainment circle to international young models to young ladies from prestigious families. He could not be counted with two hands. He was often seen in entertainment magazines, but the society had a very high opinion of him. He was said to be the future head of the Hua Corporation. This adopted son's status was obviously higher than the siblings from Hua Xiqian's second family. Hua Xiqian had a pair of peach blossom eyes and a fox-like smile wherever he went, so he was very popular with girls. A few nurses in the OB/GYN department were fascinated by him and secretly glanced at him. How many times do I have to tell you not to call me that? I'm not your sister. Huamin was unusually cold. Okay, Huamin, I have a favor to ask of you today. One of my female companions wants to do a gynecological examination, but it's too difficult to get an appointment with a specialist in your hospital. I remembered that you work in the OB/GYN department, so can you help us out and make an appointment with a specialist? No way, I'm just an intern nurse. I don't have that much power. Young Master Hua, you're so powerful. Why don't you just ask the director? After speaking, Huamin turned around and walked into the OB/GYN department, ignoring him. However, Hua Xiqian didn't seem angry. He only smiled. As the vice president of the Hua Corporation, he purposely went through the green channel when he came to the hospital. Why would he need to look for a nobody like Huamin? However, he especially liked interacting with Huamin. Seeing her made him feel inexplicably better, just like when he was young. At this moment, an exquisite-looking woman walked out of the gynecology and obstetrics professor's clinic and intimately held Hua Xiqian's arm. Xiqian, the professor said that I've caught a cold recently and doesn't want me to eat seafood anymore. It seems like we'll have to go to the beach less in the future. It's okay, I'll warm you up when we get back. You're so annoying. Ha, you're always teasing me, the woman said coquettishly. Then the two of them turned around and left. Senior Sister Hua, who was that person just now? He looks good and he's wearing big brands. I can tell at a glance that he's from a rich family. The young nurse Huang Yu asked with interest. A friend of a friend of a friend. I'm not familiar with them. Huamin had never been willing to talk too much about the Hua family. Huang Yu, are you stupid? Don't you read the newspapers? Wasn't that young Master Hua? No wonder he's one of the 4 princes of Sea City. He's really good looking and rich. He looks much better in real life than in the photos. It's just that he's a bit of a playboy, another nurse said. Fourth young master? We've never heard of them. Huang Yu looked confused. That's why I said you're from the countryside. The four princes are all eligible bachelors of the upper class. I heard that they're all unmarried. Hua Xiqian is ranked second. I heard that the third is the second son of the Wei family in Nanqing Wei Liao. The fourth is Xin Mingxi, the son of the CEO of Beiyang Automobile Company. Who's the first? Huang Yu was even more curious. The first? He's amazing. He's also the man of my dreams. He's the most handsome and rich in the city. I heard that he's the super rich young master Su Yu who spends money like water. Su Yu? I think I've heard of him before. Isn't his father the top 5 on the Forbes list? I heard that his family's banks are all over the country. Huang Yu said with great interest. Yes, but young Master Su is now in charge of his own film company. He specializes in creating stars. 2 of the 4 most popular actresses in the entertainment industry were made famous by young Master Su. Huamin listened quietly and didn't interrupt because she wasn't interested in these things at all. Just then an older nurse came in and looked at them with disdain. What fourth young master? They're all behind the times. The most popular upstart right now is GK's young master. I heard that he's been back for almost a month and has secretly inherited the throne. However, he's been very low-key and doesn't accept any media interviews. I heard that he's super handsome. I really want to meet him. Really? GK's young master? How come I've never heard of him? Another young nurse asked with a pout. Huang Yu, on the other hand, interrupted excitedly. I know that GK's young master went to second high school. My sister is studying there right after him. I also know that his name is Qin Chu. But I heard that he went abroad for many years. Is he back? How come I haven't heard anything about him? Then Huang Yu tugged at Huamin and asked, Senior Sister Hua, aren't you also from second high? You should know more about him, right? Hurry up and tell us about GK's young master. I'm really interested. My sister once said that Qin Chu is super handsome. Chapter 72. Huamin didn't know how to answer the question. I don't know him that well. He didn't want to be too high profile, so he gave a vague answer. Upon hearing Huamin's words, the other 3 nurses looked slightly disappointed. Since the OB/GYN department wasn't busy, Huamin got up and went to visit his brother in the VIP room. However, he ran into the family of the patient from the other day at the door. It was the mother of the boy from the car accident. She was a plump middle-aged woman, and her red dress was particularly eye-catching. Hey, wait a second. Sup? Huamin turned his head. I heard that you didn't want to settle it in private, right? Yes. Is it because they didn't give you enough? How much did they give you? The middle-aged woman's eyes lit up as if she wanted to get some information from Huamin. However, Huamin wasn't an idiot. No, I didn't ask for compensation. You didn't ask for compensation? Why not? You didn't come to an agreement, right? I'm telling you, take the opportunity to ask for more. I heard that your brother hurt his head. You can exaggerate and say that there will be sequelae, that he will become stupid, and that he won't be able to take care of himself. That way they will give you more. Then the middle-aged woman deliberately lowered her voice and said, Did you know? I heard that the kids' parents are from the finance department. Not only are they rich, but they also have power. I'll go through the normal legal process and sue them. I don't want any compensation. I'll make the perpetrator take responsibility. Huamian didn't want to say anything else and turned to walk back into the hospital room. The middle-aged woman was stunned at first. Then she rolled her eyes and cursed, Is this girl's brain rusty? Inside the room, after Jing Zhixin woke up, other than his complexion being a bit pale, everything else was fine. Huamin found a caregiver to take turns with his mother. He would also come over often. You look better today than yesterday. Huamin walked in with a smile. Sis. Jing Zhixin smiled warmly when he saw Huamin. Aren't you on duty? What are you doing here? His mother was still as cold as ever. The obstetrics and gynecology department isn't very busy today, so I took the opportunity to take a look. Zhixin, are you feeling unwell today? Huamin reached out and touched his brother's forehead. Jing Zhixin shook his head. No, I'm fine. Don't worry, sis. What about the compensation? I heard that those people contacted you? Yang Meirong asked as she knitted. Huamin paused for a moment before slowly replying, Mom, I'm giving up on the compensation. We have enough money for the surgery and Jixin's surgery was a success, so I'm not asking for compensation. I want to go through the legal process and sue the perpetrator so that he can get away with it. Otherwise, he'll think that he took the money and got away with it and my brother almost lost his life. I don't feel good thinking about that. She thought that her mother would scold her to death. After all, it was a large sum of compensation. But surprisingly, she didn't. Her mother just looked at her faintly and asked, Didn't you say that the other party has a strong background? If we lose the lawsuit, then wouldn't we lose more than we gain? No, we won't lose. The other party was speeding on campus and was driving under the influence, causing such a serious accident. It's a big mistake in itself. If we lose unless the judge is blind, then even if their family has power and wants to suppress this, I can still find the media, post on Weibo or post on forums. Either way, once this incident gets noticed, they won't just sit back and watch. I believe that no matter how powerful the other party is, they won't be able to hide the truth from everyone. After Huamin finished speaking, Jing Jixin smiled cutely, showing his cute canine teeth. Sis, you're so smart you even thought of this. Yang Merong on the other hand rolled her eyes at Huamin and said, Since you've decided to do this, then do it properly. But, how are you going to pay back the money you borrowed? If you don't compensate us, then wouldn't it be a loss for us? With your lousy salary, how long will it take for you to pay back the money? You really know how to mess things up. Let me tell you, I won't help you pay back a single cent. You know our family's situation. We're very poor. Unless you borrow from your dead father, but that's impossible. You should know how much he dislikes you. Chapter 73. Mom, you might not know about the law, but if we go through the normal procedure, they will still have to compensate us if they lose the case. It's just that they won't give us as much as they would if we settled the case privately. Normally, they will still have to pay for Jixin's medical bills. We just don't want to pay for the so-called nutrition and psychological damages. We won't ask for too much money. I don't want to make a fortune with my brother's health. If we win the case, they will still give us the most basic things so we don't have to worry about the money. Sis, you're making it sound so complicated. How can Mom understand? Why don't you just say that if we settle the case privately, they might pay 1,000,000 yuan or so? However, if we go through the normal procedure after the court sanctions them, they will only pay 300,000 yuan for Jixin's medical bills. There's a big difference in the middle, right? Jing Jixin said. Huamin nodded. Yang Merong didn't say anything. She only lowered her head and said in a low voice, I hope everything goes well. Huamin could tell that although his mother didn't look happy, she agreed with him. Just then there was a knock on the door. Huamin was extremely nervous. He was really afraid that Qin Chu would suddenly come to the hospital. If his mother saw Qin Chu, the atmosphere would be very tense. Huamian let out a sigh of relief when she saw the person walking in. It was Ning Ziyuan, Jing Jixin said slightly. Ning Ziyuan was wearing a white lab coat. He probably came from the on-call room as well. He held a fruit basket in his hand. He first looked at Huamin with a complicated expression. Then he greeted Huamin's mother. Auntie, what are you doing here? Didn't you guys break up? Yang Merong said with a straight face. I'm here to see Jixin. He's recovering well, get well soon, Ning Ziyuan said to Jing Jixin as he put down the fruit basket. Thank you, Ziyuan. Jing Jixin smiled. Ming. He looked at Huamin and opened his mouth slightly as if he wanted to say something but stopped. Can you come out for a second? I have something to tell you. If you have anything to say, say it here. My mother and brother are not outsiders. Ever since the day Huamin went to Ning Ziyuan's new house and saw him in bed with another woman, and then righteously refused to lend him money, his good impression of him had completely disappeared. In the past, she would even be grateful to him for pursuing her for a few years. Only now did she realize that a man could be so heartless when he turned hostile. If Ning Ziyuan had been willing to help her, she wouldn't have needed to beg Qin Chu. In the end, she still had to get married to Qin Chu. At the end of the day, Ning Ziyuan had become an important catalyst for this incident to develop to such an extent. At this point, Huamin felt that there was nothing more to say between the two of them. Upon hearing Huamin's words, Ning Ziyuan felt a little awkward. Then he coughed lightly and said, Mian, I didn't expect this to happen so suddenly. At the time, I was blinded by jealousy. We've been together for more than 3 years, you should know how I feel about you. It's not that I don't want to help you, but I heard that you borrowed money for Jishin's surgery. I'm willing to help you pay it back. I can sell my house and car. Your family is my family and Jishin is my brother. Can the two of us go back too? Before Ning Ziyuan could finish, Huamin decisively interrupted him. No. Mian, are you really not going to give me a chance? Ning Ziyuan begged. Huamian raised her head and looked into Ning Ziyuan's eyes as she asked, enunciating each word clearly. All I know is that when I was at my wit's end and had to beg you for help, when my brother was lying on the hospital bed and needed money to save his life, you were having an affair with another woman in the house that we shared the down payment for. Ning Zion, I'm not a bun and you're not a dog. Stop bothering me about what happened between you and me. I don't blame you for not helping me, but I really think it's a bit ridiculous that you're doing this with hindsight. Ning Ziyuan was so embarrassed by Huamian's words that he wanted to crawl into a hole and hide. At the same time he was shocked. In his eyes Huamin was always a gentle girl. How come she was so sharp-tongued now? Every word she said was like a knife, leaving him speechless. Mian, you seem to have changed. Ning Ziyuan hesitated for a long time before saying. Huamin smiled faintly upon hearing this. Chapter 74. You're wrong, it's not that I've changed, I've always been like this. That's why you don't understand me at all these years. You only love the person you think I am, not the real me. The truth was, Huamin had wanted to say this for a long time. When she met Ning Ziyuan, she had already pretended to be an ordinary woman. After experiencing her unforgettable love with Qin Chu, her heart was as calm as the ocean. Therefore, the gentle, sensible, obedient, considerate, and even a little cowardly woman Ning Ziyuan saw wasn't the real Huamin at all. Humans were the smartest animals in the world. Sometimes what you see is only what they want you to see. It's not who they really are. Only Qin Chu knew Huamin's true nature. She was witty, smart, sharp-tongued and looked down on everything. Just like how Zhu Lingling described her, she was arrogant. That was the real her. Unfortunately, Ning Ziyuan hadn't seen her in the past few years. Now that they had broken up, he finally had the chance to see her. It was ironic, Mian. Ning Ziyuan seemed like he wanted to say something else. Enough, don't say anymore, I got the gist of it. When my daughter begged you, you were fooling around with another woman in the house, weren't you? Now that you heard that my Jishin is fine and that the surgery fees were paid, you came back to repent. You really are not a man. Before I thought that you weren't that capable, but at least you were honest. Now it seems like that's not the case at all. Not only are you dishonest, but you also like to give advice after the fact. Stop nagging, I'm annoyed by it. Get out, since we broke up I'm no longer your aunt and Jishin is no longer your brother. Auntie, get out, take your insincere fruit basket with you. After speaking, Yang Merong got up, picked up the fruit basket and pushed Ning Ziyuan and the basket out. Mom, well done. You really helped sis vent her anger. Jing Jishin gave her a thumbs up. Yang Merong glanced coldly at Huamin. Next time you're looking for a man you better open your eyes. What kind of trash is this? Got it, Mom. Then I'll go back to the OB/GYN department first. Don't be too tired. When the nurse comes to work you should go home and rest. When Huamin walked out of the room he felt a little uneasy. Although her mother didn't treat her well, her attitude towards Ning Ziyuan just now was obviously to protect her. However, if her mother knew that she was not only dating Qin Chu in private, but also married to him, she would be devastated. She would definitely want to skin her alive if she did that. Although Uncle Jing's death wasn't directly related to Qin Chu, it was still the Qin family's doing. At the thought of this, Huamin felt her chest tighten. She really didn't know how to get along with Qin Chu in the future. Because of Uncle Jing's death, she carried the guilt for 7 years. She gave up on the universities abroad and the top medical school in Jing City. She stayed in the city and became the most ordinary person. However, she still couldn't make up for the guilt in her heart. The worst thing was she realized that she didn't hate Qin Chu as much as she did. She knew that what she did was wrong to Uncle Jing. 9 p.m. Huamin was on shift for her colleague. After tiredly changing into her clothes, she walked out of the hospital. She lowered her head and took out her phone. Her phone ran out of battery in the afternoon and automatically shut down. Then she charged it. As soon as she turned it on, she saw that there were a lot of missed calls. There was also a text message. What time do you get off work? I thought you weren't on shift today. Why aren't you back yet? It was from Qin Chu. Huamin yawned and was about to reply to the message. Just as she was about to reply, she heard the screeching sound of tires coming her way. She looked up but her eyes were blinded by the light. All she knew was that a huge car was coming towards her at an alarming speed. Humin. In the midst of the chaos, someone shouted her name. Chapter 75. Humin didn't have time to react, so she just stood there motionless. She covered her eyes with both hands to protect herself from the glare. However, she neglected the fact that she was standing in the most dangerous position. If the car came over, wouldn't it crush her? After hearing someone call her name, Humin didn't have time to respond before she felt her body being hit by something. Her ribs were in pain. When she opened her eyes again, she found herself lying in a soft embrace. Chinchu, why are you here? Humin was still in shock and was a little dumbfounded. Why was he here at a time like this? Chinchu was hugging Humin tightly. The two of them were lying next to a telephone pole on the side of the road. Their posture was extremely intimate. Are you okay? Chinchu's voice was a little hoarse. God knew that at that moment his heart was about to jump out of his chest. I'm fine, Humin stuttered. Then she slowly got up and checked her wound. She found that other than her ribs being hit by an unknown object like Chinchu, there was no other problem. When she turned around to look at Chinchu, she was a little shocked. Your hand is injured. It's okay, it's just a scratch. No, I have to bandage it for you. Otherwise it will get infected. With that, Humin pulled Chinchu to the hospital. There's a first aid kit at home. You can bandage it for me. With that, before Humin could say anything, Chinchu held her hand tightly and said, It's late. Let's go home. Then he held Humin's hand and walked to the front of the low-key white Volkswagen CC. The two of them got in the car. In the front passenger seat, Humin hesitated for a long time before she asked, Just now? Why were you there? I thought you were going to ask why the car suddenly sped up in front of the hospital, Chinchu replied with a question. Answer me first. I couldn't get through to you on the phone and you didn't reply to my messages. I came to the hospital to wait for you after work. What time did you come? Humin looked at Chinchu in surprise. 6 o'clock. So you waited from 6 o'clock until 9 o'clock? Humin couldn't believe it. That's right. You're just going to wait in the car. Yes. Are you really? Humin didn't know what to say. Obviously, Chinchu wasn't an idiot. Fortunately I came. Otherwise you would have been hit just now. Humin finally understood. Chinchu had been in the car the whole time when he picked her up from work. When he saw her walking out of the hospital, he got out of the car to call her. However, at that moment, a huge truck that came out of nowhere suddenly rushed out. At that critical moment, Chinchu rushed over and hugged Humin. They dodged the truck and both fell to the side of the road. Thinking back to that moment, it really was a matter of life and death. Do you know that you almost died? Humin stared at Chinchu and asked. I only know that if I didn't do what I did, you would have died, Chinchu responded faintly. Was it worth it? Humin's eyes began to sting. When he asked this question, he purposely turned his head and looked out the window. It was very worth it. You're such an idiot. You're the heir of GK and you're worth over 10 billion yuan. How could you save an intern nurse? Humin mocked himself. Chinchu turned his head and stared at Humin's face. He said word for word, in that moment, it was just a husband saving his wife. Don't overthink it. Chinchu, yeah? Don't you think that us being together was a mistake from the beginning? Humin said softly. Upon hearing this, Chinchu's hands on the steering wheel froze slightly. Chapter 76. After a while, Chinchu slowly replied, All I know is that being apart from you for 7 years was the biggest mistake of my life. Hearing this, Humin's heart skipped a beat, as if something had shattered in her heart. He wondered if that was her last line of defense against the outside world. Then the two of them didn't speak for the rest of the journey. When they arrived at Imperial Park, it was only 9:20 p.m. Humin followed Chinchu's instructions and found the first aid kit in the living room cabinet. Then the two of them sat on the sofa and Humin carefully treated Chinchu's wounds. Not only did Chinchu's palms get scratched, but his knees were also scraped. Blood seeped out, staining his expensive casual pants. Wrap it up, don't let it get wet for a few days. Be careful when you shower, Humin reminded him. Okay. Also, take off your pants, I'll wash them for you. It's okay, I'll just take these to the dry cleaners. Okay, then you should rest early. I'm a bit tired, I'm going to rest now. After speaking, Huamin was about to head upstairs. Mion, I'm a bit hungry. Qin Chu's words made Huamin stop in her tracks. What do you want to eat? Anything is fine. Qin Chu looked into her eyes. Huamin didn't want to look into Qin Chu's eyes, so she turned around and walked towards the fridge. She opened the fridge and saw that it was filled with vegetables and fruits. It seemed like he prepared everything beforehand. Huamin took out egg noodles and a bunch of vegetables, then walked towards the kitchen. 20 minutes later, a bowl of piping hot egg noodles with vegetables was placed on the coffee table. Eat it while it's hot. You're not eating. I already ate when I was on duty, I'm not hungry. Then Huamin turned around and went upstairs. Qin Chu sat on the sofa, picked up the chopsticks and ate the noodles in small bites. An image seemed to appear in his mind. Qin Chu, the noodles in this restaurant are not delicious. How dare they sell such disgusting noodles for 15 renminbi a bowl? They're crazy. I will cook for you personally in the future. My noodles are very delicious. Really? If we lose our jobs in the future, you can support me by opening a noodle shop. Do you think I would want a man who lives off a woman as my husband? As long as I'm your husband, I don't mind living off you. 7 years ago there were many beautiful memories. The street behind the school was filled with snacks. Qin Chu loved to eat noodles, so Huamin often went there with him. They went to many places, but there wasn't anything delicious. Thus, the conversation above occurred. At that time, Qin Chu thought that since he was with Huamin every day, he would have many opportunities to eat her noodles. But he never thought that he would wait for this opportunity for 7 years. Time was really a ruthless thing. Many beautiful things could only be supported by memories in the end. Although he risked his life to save her tonight, she was still a little distant from him. He knew what she was thinking. He saw the conflict, anxiety, guilt, and fear in her heart. But as long as he could be with her, he didn't care about anything else. As long as she was with him, his wish was that simple. With that thought, Qin Chu began to eat the noodles in big mouthfuls. In the end, he drank all the soup. He didn't remember the taste of the noodles, but he knew that it was the best noodles in the world. All because it was cooked by Huamin, in the upstairs bedroom. Huamin lay on the bed, exhausted. It wasn't that she didn't know that Qin Chu got hurt because of her. She wasn't heartless, but whenever she thought of her mother's words, she would feel extremely conflicted. Ring. She received a WeChat message. Huamin slowly picked up her phone. As expected, it was Zhu Lingling calling. Recently, she had been flying to the East Coast and hadn't returned to Sea City. Without her harassment on WeChat, Huamin really wasn't used to it. Yeah, I'm back. Come out and have a drink. I've been dog-tired these past few days. Huamin smiled slightly and replied, Who said so? Dogs aren't as tired as you are. Zhu Lingling was speechless. Then Huamin sent Zhu Lingling a WeChat message. There were only 6 words on it. Lingling, I'm married. After seeing these 6 words, Zhu Lingling jumped out of bed in shock. Chapter 77. Are you kidding me, sis? No, I'm telling the truth. Who are you married to? Wei Dong, Ningzong? Zhu Lingling never would have thought that Huamin would marry Qin Chu. None of them. Then who is it? Sis, you didn't get married on a whim, did you? Isn't Jixin still in the hospital? How can you be in the mood to get married? Have you been under a lot of pressure recently? Have you lost your mind? Don't be afraid. The psychiatrist said that anything you do when you're not sober is invalid. It's just like how it's not illegal to kill someone when they're mentally ill. No matter who you marry impulsively, as long as you do a psychiatric evaluation tomorrow, you can get a divorce. Lingling, I'm not impulsive and I didn't make this decision while I'm crazy. I'm very sober. Just don't scare me. I haven't been back for a few days and you've already given me such explosive news. Qin Chu and I got married. Who? Qin Chu? Which Qin Chu? Don't tell me it's the Almighty from our class. Who else could it be? Oh my god, let me calm down. I can't digest this. You got married to Qin Chu? Is this a prank? No, April Fool's Day is over. Don't lie to me, is this real? Obviously, Zhu Lingling had serious doubts about the authenticity of the news. It's real, I swear. That's great, girl. Congratulations on finally getting together with the person you love. Although Zhu Lingling was usually crazy, she knew Huamin the best. Other than Qin Chu, there was no one else in Huamin's heart. Ning Ziyuan was just a temporary choice she made to avoid her feelings. Zhu Lingling used to think that Ning Ziyuan wasn't good enough for Huamin, and she was right. After going around in circles, Huamin ended up with Qin Chu. The story seemed to have returned to 7 years ago. She was truly happy for her, because she knew how much Huamin loved Qin Chu, but she never said it out loud. Lingling, don't give me your blessings. I had no choice but to marry him. Then Huamin told Zhu Lingling everything. After hearing the news, Zhu Lingling gradually calmed down. Mian, what do you plan to do now? Your mom will find out sooner or later, and so will Qin Chu's parents. You won't be able to hide it for long. Once you're pregnant and have a child, the paparazzi will follow you. Qin Chu isn't an ordinary person, he's the heir of GK. People like him won't be able to hide his marriage. People will find out sooner or later. How do you plan to deal with it then? Huamin thought for a moment and replied, Lingling, to be honest, I don't want to live with Qin Chu like this. We shouldn't have been together in the first place, so I think I'll ask for a divorce after a while. Divorce? Are you crazy? Why do you want a divorce? I really don't understand. You love him and he loves you. Why can't you be together? Lingling, there are too many things between us. We can't go back to the way we were before. I don't know why Qin Chu wants me to marry him. I think it's because I dumped him 7 years ago and he's not happy about it. Aren't all men like this? They always want what they can't get. I think he won't be like this when he gets tired of me. I don't think Qin Chu is that kind of person. Mian, there's something you might not know. During the class reunion, Qin Chu personally invited Mr. Yao from New Zealand. Mr. Yao was the one who called you. You can see how much he wants to see you. So what? Too many things have happened in the past 7 years. Plus, Uncle Jing can't come back to life. I don't want to hurt my mom even more. Anyways, I will end our relationship before our relationship is exposed. Huamin. Zhu Lingling felt that Huamin was under too much pressure. They had only been married for a few days, but she was already thinking about a divorce. If Qin Chu knew what she was thinking, he would be very sad. Qin Chu guessed right. She was going to burn the bridge after crossing it. Huamin knew that it was unfair to Qin Chu when they got married. But how could there be fairness in this world? After chatting with Zhu Lingling on WeChat for a while, Huamin felt a little sleepy and fell into a deep sleep. Midnight, Qin Chu quietly walked in and tucked Huamin in. Then he stood by the bed and looked at the sleeping Huamin. His gaze was extremely gentle. He really wanted to lower his head and kiss her, but he was afraid that if she woke up, it would be even more awkward. After quietly watching for a while, Qin Chu quietly left Huamin's room. His gaze turned cold as he took out his phone and made a call. Gao Ran, find me a blue truck with license plate number HC9649. It appeared on the road in front of the first hospital at 9 p.m. Pull up the nearby surveillance cameras and find out the owner of the truck and where it went. Using his super memory, he called Gao Ran. He really wanted to know who had the guts to try to kill his baby. Chapter 78. Bro, what are you doing in the middle of the night? Gao Ran was still half asleep on the other end of the line. That's all, I want the information tomorrow morning. After speaking, Qin Chu didn't wait for Gao Ran to reply and hung up the phone. The next morning when Huamin woke up, to her surprise, Qin Chu was still there. She remembered that he left before 7 a.m. every day. When the two of them met in the morning, it was a bit awkward. Especially when Huamin hadn't washed her face yet and her hair was still messy. You're not at work yet? Yeah, I don't have much to do today. Qin Chu was reading the financial newspaper as he sat at the dining table. On the dining table were 2 sets of breakfast. Western breakfast again. To be honest, Huamin was already a bit sick of eating breakfast. However, if he didn't eat the breakfast that Huamian made out of kindness, it would be too pretentious of him. You seem to like Western breakfasts? Huamian asked, unsure of what to say. Qin Chu put down the newspaper, glanced at her and replied, because I don't know how to make Chinese breakfast. Huamin was completely speechless. No wonder he had Western breakfast every day and spaghetti and steak for supper. It turned out that he didn't know how to make Chinese breakfast. Then I'll do it from now on. No, I'll get a maid to do it. Trust me, it's not bad, Huamin explained. I didn't marry you to make breakfast. My wife doesn't need to do anything. She just needs to do what she likes. Huamin really wanted to say, Qin Chu, if you spoil me like this, I'll become arrogant. However, it wasn't appropriate for her to say these words. After all, things were still a bit weird between them. Are your injuries better? Yeah. Remember not to touch water. Yeah. Chin-Chu nodded. I'm done eating. I'm going to wash up and go to work. I'll drive you. Huamin dawdled for 20 minutes. When she came out, Chin-Chu was still waiting for her. She drove Huamin to the hospital in her low-key Volkswagen CC. Then she drove straight to GK headquarters. It was rush hour and many employees saw their boss driving the Volkswagen CC. At first, some people thought that it was Assistant Yang's car, but they were all dumbfounded when they saw the boss get out of the car. Thus, some people began to whisper, "What kind of path is the CO taking? If I'm not mistaken, that's a Volkswagen CC, right? It's not a luxury car, right?" Another person replied softly, "I'm guessing that the CO is going to work with Volkswagen soon. Is our company going to build cars again?" Not necessarily. Maybe the president is tired of driving luxury cars and wants to try something new. I think that's the case. Or perhaps the president wants to give this car to a certain department as a bonus. The employees were all talking at once, but Chin-Chu was still doing things his own way. GK's office of the president, Chin-Chu was reviewing documents when Gao Ran called him. "Did you find anything?" he asked. "Of course, I'm the captain of the criminal police force. Do you think I'm a freeloader? I found it. I didn't know until I did, but when I did I was shocked. Yesterday this car almost hit someone in front of the hospital. I took a closer look and saw that it was you and Huamin, right?" Gao Ran asked nosily. "Get to the point, what's the background of the car? Whose car is it?" "The owner of the car is Wu Shikai, the owner of Hongtai Logistics in our city. However, he's not here. The driver last night is an employee of his company, Wang Li. He's 32 years old, from our city, unmarried and an alcoholic. He has a criminal record of theft and has a bad personality. I don't know why he appeared in front of the hospital last night, but he probably got drunk," Gao Ran analyzed. "That's impossible, he wasn't drunk. It was premeditated. He wanted to kill Huamin." "Kill Huamin? Why?" Gao Ran was shocked. Who could a girl like Huamin possibly have a grudge against? Why would someone want to kill her? "Leave the rest to me, that's all." After speaking, Chin-Chu hung up the phone. "President Chin, the morning meeting is in 10 minutes, Assistant Yang reminded him. "Cancel the morning meeting, I have something important to do. I won't see anyone in the morning and I won't approve any documents." "Yes, President Chin." Yang already knew the president's temperament, so he didn't dare to delay and left with instructions. Chin-Chu picked up his phone, hesitated for a moment and then dialed a number. "Rick, I need your help. Come to GK headquarters in an hour." After hanging up, Chin-Chu stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. As he looked out at the heavy traffic outside, his eyes turned slightly cold. Someone dared to harm his Huamin, that person must be tired of living. Chapter 79. Chin-Chu gave Rick an hour, but it only took Rick 20 minutes. A fiery red Ferrari stopped in front of GK, and a tall man in a black leather jacket got out of the car. His appearance caused a commotion in GK. Since he was of mixed Chinese and French descent, his handsome face attracted a lot of attention. Inside the president's office, "Hey Chin-Chu, long time no see. Sit." Chin-Chu got up and walked to the wine cabinet in his office. He poured 2 glasses of red wine and handed one to Rick. "You must have something important to tell me, right? What is it?" Rick swirled his empty glass and smiled. He had known Chin-Chu for many years. They didn't talk often, but they were good friends. The truth was, men didn't have the same friendship as women. They didn't go out for tea or shopping every other day. However, when they really needed each other, they would show up. Rick's mother was a French aristocrat, and his father was a local entrepreneur. Of course, he was only an entrepreneur on the surface. His family owned a 5-star hotel chain and the city's most luxurious nightclub, Seductive Fox. Rick's family's real business was the underworld, but it was a high-level underworld that had been cleaned up. Chin-Chu sat down across from Rick. He looked down at the red wine in his glass and slowly said, "Wang Li, male, 32 years old, employee of Hongtai Logistics." "Get rid of him?" Rick made a throat-slitting gesture. Chin-Chu shook his head. "Last night he drove a truck and deliberately hit people in front of the city hospital. Someone must have ordered him to do that. I need you to help me find out who it is." "What happens after you find them? Kill them all?" "No, sometimes being alive is scarier than being dead. Let them reap what they sow anyways. I don't want to leave any loose ends behind. Chin Chu was worried about Huamin's safety, so after much thought he decided to ask Rick to take care of him. Got it, leave it to me. Thank you. Chin Chu nodded in gratitude at Rick's loyalty. What are you thanking me for? It's all thanks to you that my brother's incident in America last time. Anyway, no matter when, just ask me. Rick finished the red wine in his glass in one gulp, stood up and patted Chin Chu's shoulder. Yes. By the way, how did this person offend you? Why are you asking me personally, huh? Rick was very puzzled. This kind of small punishment could be solved by Chin Chu in minutes. Why did he need to use him, a violent gangster? Because they almost hurt the person I care about the most, Chin Chu said word by word. The person you care about the most? Oh, I see. Looks like you're already with her. Congratulations. Rick smiled and turned to leave. For his friends who had known Chin Chu for many years, they all knew that Chin Chu only cared about one woman in his life. First hospital. During his lunch break, Huamin was drinking water in the lounge when he recalled the frightening scene from yesterday. If Chin Chu hadn't hugged him in time and dodged, he would have been a corpse by now. The big truck was very fast and ferocious. Moreover, there was a speed bump in front of the hospital, indicating that it was not allowed to speed up. However, that person was still driving so fast. Was it as simple as being drunk? If it was in the past, Huamin wouldn't have thought too much about it. However, recently Lawyer Luo came looking for him and didn't talk about that matter. Huamin still had lingering fears about this incident. Lawyer Luo's warning was very clear. She didn't listen, but that didn't mean that they didn't dare to do it. It seemed like the perpetrator had already started to make a move. Huamin clenched his fists tightly. He thought to himself, this society is so unfair. Those people were the ones who hit people first. Not only did they not accept punishment, but they also blatantly threatened the victim's family. If he had been hit and killed yesterday, the traffic police would have treated it as a traffic accident. They would have paid a few 100,000 yuan and let it go. Thinking of this, Huamin felt a slight chill down his spine. At this moment his phone rang. Where are you? Chin Chu's magnetic voice came from the other end of the phone. Chapter 80. At the hospital. I'm at the entrance of the hospital. Can you come out for a second? What's up? Huamin was a little distant. He was actually very conflicted. She really didn't want to get too close to Chin Chu, but they cooked together every day so she couldn't break away from him. Something's up, he said in all seriousness. Huamin looked at her watch. There were still 20 minutes before work, so she still had time. She got up and walked towards the door. As soon as Huamin walked out, she saw his ordinary Volkswagen sedan. Chin Chu was leaning against the car. Huamin hesitated for a moment, then slowly walked over. Chin Chu handed over the reusable bag in his hand. Here. What's this? Huamin asked curiously. Afternoon tea. Thank you. Huamin took the bag and nodded her head in thanks. What do you want from me? Tell me, I'm almost at work. Huamin looked at Chin Chu, wondering why he was at the entrance of the hospital in the middle of the day. I just want to bring you afternoon tea. Huamin was completely speechless. Was this even a matter? He made it sound so serious that she thought it was something important. Actually, she didn't know that in Chin Chu's eyes, everything about Huamin was important to him. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Wait, Chin Chu shouted. Huamin turned around. Chin Chu reached out and tucked the hair on her forehead behind her ear. His movements were extremely gentle. Huamin's cheeks instantly turned red. She looked like a little girl who was experiencing her first awakening of love. Okay, go ahead. I can't pick you up after work today because I have something to do at the company. I'll be back later, but I'll send someone to pick you up. I'll call you then. No need. I'll take the bus myself. So close to home. However, no matter what Huamin said, Chin Chu acted as if he didn't hear anything. He turned around and got into the car. Huamin sighed slightly and returned to the hospital with the bag. Inside the lounge, she slowly opened the bag. Inside was a box of pink macarons, a box of puffs, a cup of hot coffee, and a box of 4 fruits: honeydew, watermelon, strawberries, and grapes. The packaging was exquisite and the ingredients were very fresh. Wow, isn't this 37 degrees pastry? Super expensive. It said that a cup of coffee costs more than 300 yuan. Senior sister, you're so extravagant. Tell me, did you buy a lottery ticket for 5 million yuan? Huang Yu came over and exclaimed when she saw the brand on the package. No, someone gave it to me. Why would I buy something so extravagant? 37 degrees. Huimin knew about it. It was the largest coffee shop in the area, and it was a place that specialized in afternoon tea. Most of the time, only socialites and rich women went there because ordinary people couldn't afford it. A cup of coffee cost more than 300 yuan, and apparently even an ice cream cost more than 500 yuan. The prices were shockingly high. She estimated that the things Qin Chu bought cost at least 1,000 yuan. 1,000 yuan was almost equivalent to her monthly living expenses. Now Qin Chu actually bought her 1,000 yuan afternoon tea. Huimin felt a faint pain in her heart. Perhaps she was used to being poor all these years, so she really couldn't bear to spend money like this. Someone gave it to you? You're probably a suitor. Tell me who gave it to you. Huang Yu smiled mysteriously. No, my best friend gave it to me. That flight attendant's best friend. You know who she is? Huimin had no choice but to use Zhu Lingling as an excuse. After that, the afternoon tea was distributed to a few young nurses in the department, and everyone ate with relish. Just as she was about to go to work, a male doctor suddenly knocked on her door. Excuse me, is Huimin here? I am. Huimin wiped the corner of her mouth, stood up and said, Here, this is for you. The male doctor suddenly took out a bouquet of red roses from behind him. Huimin was momentarily dumbfounded. The point was she didn't even know the guy in front of her. Could someone tell her what was going on? Chapter 81. Do we know each other? Huimin asked in confusion. The male doctor was wearing black-rimmed glasses and looked a little shy. You might not know me, so let me introduce myself. My name is Zhu Qing. I'm a doctor from the second ophthalmology department of our hospital. I've seen you many times and you used to come to my department a lot. You're Dr. Ning's girlfriend, right? But I heard that you guys broke up recently, so I thought this might be my chance. I've been secretly in love with you for a long time. You look gentle, cute, pretty, and have a great body. You're my type, right? The male doctor rattled off a bunch of words and then sincerely handed over the roses. Huimin felt like he was struck by lightning. Wasn't this too dramatic? The nurses behind him almost couldn't hold back their laughter. Huimin glanced at the roses and then at Dr. Zhu. He said helplessly, I'm sorry, you're not my type. Then what type do you like? I can change it. Dr. Zhu didn't seem to give up. Huimin quickly waved his hand. No, don't change it, I can change it. Anyways, thank you, but I can't take the flowers. Huimin, please reconsider. It's really okay, I have to go to work. I'm in a hurry, so I'll be going now. Thank you. After he spoke, Huimin didn't wait for Dr. Zhu to say anything else. He walked into the OB/GYN consultation room through a side door and hid. Dr. Zhu was obviously disappointed. He stood at the door dejectedly. At this time, Huang Yu walked up and smiled. Hey idiot, don't think about my senior, she won't like someone like you. Go back and take a good look in the mirror. It's not your fault that you're ugly, but it's wrong of you to come out and scare people. After she spoke, Huang Yu giggled and ran away. Dr. Zhu stood there dumbfounded. After a while, he slowly walked out with the flowers in his hands. He had been secretly in love with Huimin for a long time. In the past, whenever he saw Huimin and Ning Ziyuan talking together and seeing their dimples when they smiled, he felt especially warm. Later, He-Man told him that Ning Ziyuan and Huimin had broken up, so he wanted to give it a try. He didn't think that she wouldn't even give him a chance. Dr. Zhu was indeed a little ugly, but that wasn't the point. Most importantly, no matter how handsome he was, Huimin wouldn't accept him. To her, there was someone who had been deeply planted in her heart since 7 years ago, and no one could replace him. After manager Huimin Hua and Huimin, the assistant didn't understand what the boss wanted. He had been busy the whole morning and didn't even have time to eat lunch. He only arrived at the airport when he was about to board the plane. He felt that the boss was always mysterious. Could it be that Huimin had a mistress? Was it the woman with a different identity from last time? Assistant Yang thought to himself. President Qin, these are the contracts that you signed with the client this afternoon. Here's the information, you can go through them on the plane. President Qin, you haven't had lunch yet. I wanted to order takeout for you, but it's too late. Why don't you eat something on the plane? I heard that the lunch in first class is pretty good. Qin Chu nodded. He was in a good mood. Have you booked the return flight? Not yet. There are only flights after 12 p.m., and it'll be 3 a.m. by the time you get here. I didn't want to disturb your rest, so I booked a hotel for you. It'll be better if you fly back tomorrow morning. No need, cancel the hotel and book the flight at 12 p.m. President Qin, it's too rushed. You'll be very tired. Book the flight. After saying these 3 words, Qin Chu turned around and walked towards the VIP entrance. Assistant Yang was speechless when he saw how stubborn his president was. Just how much did his president miss his home? He had to fly back in the middle of the night. It seemed like he didn't have a good relationship with the chairman and his wife. At the first hospital, when Huamin got off work, she received a call saying that Qin Chu ordered them to pick her up. Of course, she didn't know that Qin Chu was worried that she would be in danger, so he sent bodyguards to pick her up. Although the hospital was only 10 minutes away from home, Qin Chu was still worried. Miss Hua, this way please. The 2 bodyguards in black suits pointed at a black Mercedes-Benz. Huamin thought that the scene was a bit too grand. After she got home, she washed her face and sat down on the sofa to rest. Then she received a call from her mother. Mom, what's wrong? Huamin became nervous. She was worried that something might have happened to her brother. Go back to the Hua family in a bit. Yang Meirong's tone was serious. Huamin's heart sank when she heard this. The Hua family, that heartless family. Did that person ask her to go back? Chapter 82. Mom, I'm not going back. Other than the fact that my surname is Hua, I have nothing to do with that family. I don't like that person either. Huamin's heart was filled with hatred towards her biological father Hua Jinghai, who was one of the top 10 richest men in the city. That man had ignored her and her mother for years. He didn't even give them any money. It was as if he was dead. He didn't even come to Uncle Jing's funeral. Apparently, Uncle Jing was his chauffeur for 10 years. Such an emotionless man, he did not deserve to be her father. Go back, I heard that your grandmother passed away. Yang Meirong's tone was a little sad. If there was one person in the Hua family that was nice, it would be Mrs. Hua. She was an old lady who believed in Buddhism. She hadn't lived in the Hua family for many years and had been praying at a temple in the south. Huamin met her once. Her grandmother came to visit her with a chauffeur. She bought her pretty clothes and even gave her money. However, her mother didn't seem to want it. That was 10 years ago. At the time, Huamin was only a teenager. Upon hearing that her grandmother passed away, Huamin's heart skipped a beat. It was an uncomfortable feeling. Go, don't worry about the others. Your grandmother was nice to you. She even came to visit you before. You should at least give her 10%. Okay, I got it. After hesitating for a moment, Huamin finally nodded. She walked to her closet and wanted to find a black shirt to wear to the funeral. Suddenly, she remembered that she had moved and didn't bring her things with her. Now, other than the white lab coat that she wore for work, she was wearing a white t-shirt and jeans. She opened the wardrobe door with melancholy and was shocked by the clothes in the wardrobe. There were dozens of clothes. They were all new and had labels. They were all luxury brands and each one cost at least 4 figures. Dresses, jeans, t-shirts, sweaters, jackets, dresses, shawls. Everything was there. LV, Chanel, Versace, DG, Dior, Gucci, Prada, Valentino. Everything was there. Was he going to move a store here? Huamin randomly picked up a label and looked at the size. They were all size S, just the right size for her. Was all of this prepared by Qin Chu? But why hadn't he told her about it before? After recovering from the shock, Huamin took out a black dress from the wardrobe and put it on. It actually looked exceptionally good. She got into a taxi and arrived at the Hua family's villa in the western suburbs 40 minutes later. From afar he could see many black cars parked outside. It seemed that they were all here to pay their respects. Huamin slowly walked in. I'm sorry, please show me your invitation. The security guard at the door stopped Huamin. Huamin had never entered this house, so the security guard naturally did not recognize her. I'll help Grandma. Huamin didn't finish his sentence. She saw a black Maserati stop beside her and roll down the window. Hua Xiqian said to the security guard, let her through. She's my sister. Yes, young master. The security guard opened the door and Huamin walked straight in. After Hua Xiqian parked the car, he ran up to him. I didn't expect you to come. I thought you didn't want to come to this house. Of course I don't want to come to this house. I just want to send Grandma off. It has nothing to do with anyone else, Huamin said coldly. Mian, you look beautiful today. After speaking, Hua Xiqian didn't wait for Huamin to speak and walked towards the morning hall. You're crazy. Huamin looked at his back and cursed. What kind of day was this? It was a day of mourning. Was this the time to praise someone's beauty? Huamin always felt that Hua Xiqian wasn't normal, even though he was very popular with women and had a high status in the family. Huamin also walked towards the morning hall. Everyone in the Hua family was kneeling there. First Madame Jiang Hong, second Madame Xinjiani, Hua Yanyan and Hua Si were all there. In the middle was her biological father Hua Jinghai, whom she hadn't seen in many years. This is... Hua Jinghai looked at Huamin and didn't recognize him at all. Dad, this is Huamin, Hua Xiqian introduced. Hua Jinghai was obviously slightly surprised when he heard this. He was the one who called Yang Mirong and asked Huamin to come home. However, he really didn't know that the child had grown up so quickly. After hearing that it was Huamin, everyone looked over. Huamin just stood there quietly. There wasn't a trace of emotion on his face. Chapter 83. Huamin. Which Huamin? Is he the bastard that my father had with another woman outside? Hua Yanyan, Hua Xiqian's daughter, said this. This girl was spoiled to the point that she didn't care about anyone, so her words were vicious. Who said I'm an illegitimate child? If that's the case, then you're also an illegitimate child, since you're also an illegitimate child? Hua Xiqian said this with a smile, so it looked like he was joking. Xinjiani's expression changed slightly when she heard this. Hua Yanyan was also unhappy. Big brother, how can I be the same as her? I grew up in the Hua family and my mother has status. Who does her mother think she is? She's just a bitch who ran away with a chauffeur. Huamin glanced at Hua Yanyan and said coldly, a cultured person wouldn't open her mouth and curse. It seems like the socialite of the Hua family is only Esu. Who are you calling uncultured? Hua Yanyan was furious when she heard this and she almost stood up. Xinjiani pulled her back. Yanyan, don't cause trouble. Can't you see where we are? Since you're here, let's watch the coffin together. Quan, get her a mourning cloth, Hua Jinghai, who had been silent the whole time, said. Yes, master. Then a servant brought in a long white mourning cloth. Huamin took it and tied it around his head. Then he slowly knelt down in front of the mourning hall. In the middle of the mourning hall was the old madame's portrait. Huamin felt terrible, but it wasn't to the point of tears. That would seem too fake. The Hua family also knelt for a while and then rested. Hua Yanyan only knelt for a while before she said that she was dizzy and was helped into the mansion. Hua Si also ran out, saying that he was entertaining a friend. After that, only Huamin and Hua Xiqian were left in the morning hall. Mian, take a rest if you're tired. You don't have to keep kneeling. I'm not tired, Huamin replied while burning paper in the basin. It'll be dinner soon. Get up and wash your face first. I'm not hungry. Huamin refused again. Hua Xiqian quietly stared at Huamin's face. After a while she said, if it weren't for the nanny's funeral, I'm afraid you wouldn't even enter this house, right? Yes. You're really straightforward. Hua Xiqian smiled slightly. Huamin didn't say anything else. He just silently recited some words of blessing. Half an hour later, dinner time. Hua Jinghai looked around but didn't see Huamin, so he asked, where's the kid? She's still standing vigil. I asked Xiqian to call her, but she said she wasn't hungry and didn't have an appetite, Jiang Hong said. What do you mean she's not hungry? I think she's faking it. She wants to impress Dad. Women like her are the most hypocritical, Hua Yanyan interrupted. Yanyan, don't say things like that. Mom, I'm telling the truth. My classmates said that people like her who come from a humble background seem innocent, but are actually the most scheming. Because she lived at the bottom of society, she's seen a lot of ugly things. She's not that innocent. Dad, don't believe her. Hua Jinghai glanced at Hua Yanyan and didn't say anything. Huamin doesn't look like she's faking it. She doesn't need to suck up to Dad. After all, Dad hasn't given her anything in the past few years. She seems to be used to it. Hua Xiqian's words made Hua Jinghai's expression change slightly. Indeed, he seemed to have forgotten about this daughter of his. If it weren't for his mother's dying instructions, he would have asked Huamin to come back. He wouldn't have even called Yang Meng. Let's eat, Hua Jinghai said after a moment of silence. 20 minutes later, everyone gathered in the morning hall again. Madame Hua Jinghai said slowly, Jinghai, the feng shui master said that someone needs to stand vigil around the clock tonight. It's best if it's a woman because men are afraid of offending people. Mom liked Yan Yan a lot when she was alive, so I think we should let Yan Yan stand vigil. Hui Yan Yan's expression immediately changed when she heard this. Andy, I can't do it. I have low blood sugar and I feel dizzy all the time. My mom made an appointment with a doctor and he'll be here soon to put me on N4 drip. You should let my brother and brother stand vigil. How could she stand vigil alone? How could she do something as scary as that? She was the Hua family's little princess. Xinjiani also chimed in. Yeah, sis, Yan Yan isn't feeling well. How about I stand vigil for her? How can that be? Only the younger generation can do it. Mom, let Huamin stand vigil, Hua Xiqian volunteered. At that moment, everyone looked at Huamin. Huamin also heard their conversation. It was just a vigil. It was her wish to see her grandmother off. Can you do it alone? Madame Hua Jinghai looked at Huamin and asked. Chapter 84. Huamin nodded, Hua Xiqian smiled. See, I knew little sister Mian was the most reliable. You can only see a person's true colors at critical moments. Big brother, what do you mean? It's not that I don't want to watch over grandma's coffin, I just don't feel well. Hui Yanyan hurriedly explained. Okay, stop arguing. It's settled then. Huamin glanced at Hua Jinghai with a complicated expression. After 9 p.m. Huamin was the only one left in the huge mourning hall. There were wreaths on both sides and in the middle was grandma's coffin which contained her body. Apparently, the funeral wouldn't be held until tomorrow, so they had to stay overnight. Huamin graduated from medical school and worked in hospitals for so long that he was numb to the sight of corpses. Plus, it was his family, so he wasn't afraid. However, he didn't expect Hui Yanyan to be so timid. He really couldn't count on them. She silently lowered her head and burned the joss paper. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind her. Thank you for your hard work tonight. The old voice was clearly Hua Jinghai's. It's my job, Huamin replied faintly without turning around. I heard you didn't eat anything tonight, so I asked someone to make supper. It'll be here in a bit. I'm not hungry. Your mother, is she okay? Hua Jinghai hesitated for a moment before asking. Thanks to you, she's doing very well, Huamin said on purpose. You guys are all the same. You're both so headstrong. President Hua, you must be joking. It's good that we're self-reliant. After all, no one in this world can be relied on forever. Relying on ourselves is the way to go. Huamin's words made Hua Jinghai feel like he was invincible. Huamin, back then? Sorry, I'm not interested in what happened back then. If there's nothing else, President Hua, please leave. Didn't the feng shui master say that only one person can do it? Have you ever thought about coming back? Oh. Do you know what you'll lose if you refuse my offer? It's nothing more than inheritance rights. I'm not interested. President Hua, you don't have to feel guilty. After my grandmother passed away, I will never return to this family again. You? Hua Jinghai didn't expect that Huamin didn't want to come back to the Hua family. She didn't want to come back even when he invited her. She heard from Xiqian that this child was now working in the hospital as an intern nurse. It seemed like she wasn't living a good life. With one word, he could arrange for her to be a high-ranking executive in the Hua Corporation with a high salary and no work. But she refused. She was just as stubborn and willful as her mother, inside the Hua family villa. Xiqian, I see that you're quite nice to that child. Do you have any private dealings with her? Jiang Hong asked as she held her teacup. No, I do want to interact with her, but she doesn't seem to like me. I can see that you're very protective of her. Do you have any plans? Hua Xiqian walked behind Jiang Hong and gently massaged her back. Mom, what do you think? You're not going to help her come back to the Hua family, stand on our side and get an extra share, right? Jiang Hong knew her son well. Although he wasn't her biological son, she raised him since he was a child. She knew that he wasn't someone who would take advantage of others. That's a great idea, but it's not going well. That girl doesn't seem to want to come back. Maybe the Hua family shares are a temptation, but she might not want them. Plus, she's living a normal life now. Really? I'll ask her later. If you want, I'll help you. Don't need Mom. You should enjoy your old age. I'll take care of the internal strife. I won't care about those two idiots. Hua Xiqian smiled slightly. Qin Chu's flight was supposed to take off at 12 o'clock a.m. and arrive in the city at 3 o'clock a.m. However, he thought it was too late. After signing the contract, he drove to another city's airport and took another flight to come back earlier. It was only 11:50 a.m. when he got off the plane. He went straight to his home in Imperial Park after getting off the plane. He thought that Huamin would be fast asleep, but when he opened the door there was no one there. Huamin's voice rang out. She adjusted the vibration so as not to disturb her grandmother's rest. "What is it? You didn't come home?" asked Qin Chu. "I'm at the Hua residence," replied Huamin calmly. Qin Chu frowned slightly. He knew the relationship between Huamin and the Hua family very well. Didn't Huamin hate going back to the Hua family? Grandma passed away. "I'm here to keep vigil," explained Huamin when Qin Chu didn't say anything. "My condolences," comforted Qin Chu. "I will." "Are you the only one keeping vigil?" asked Qin Chu worriedly when he heard the silence. Chapter 85. Yes, Huamin answered honestly. "Are you scared?" Qin Chu's voice suddenly became gentle as if he was coaxing a child. "Why would I be? I went to medical school so I'm not interested in corpses anymore. It's just that when I think about my grandmother lying inside, I can't help but feel sad. Birth, old age, sickness and death are the laws of nature. None of us can change them. Don't take it too hard." "I know." After Huamin said this he added, "Why are you still up so late?" "I just came back from a business trip." "So late?" "Yeah. Then you must be tired. Rest early," Huamin said softly. To her surprise, Qin Chu had no intention of resting at all. He replied, "Let's keep the call going. I'll stay with you." Perhaps he was afraid that Huamin would reject him, so Qin Chu added, "I'll stay with you like this." Huamin had no reason to reject Qin Chu's kindness. She knew what kind of person he was. She didn't know if it was because she had stayed up all night, but her eyes felt slightly sore. "Okay." After a long silence, Huamin only replied with one word. Then she put down her phone. The screen showed that the call was still going on. It was just that the two of them didn't speak anymore. This kind of company was undoubtedly the most special. Although it didn't really mean anything, Huamin felt that she was no longer alone on this sad night. Huamin silently burned joss paper for her deceased grandmother. She didn't feel sleepy at all until the sun rose. At 5:30 in the morning the sun had just risen. Huasiqian walked over in a black shirt and black trousers. He was holding an old LV scarf in his hand. Before Huamin could say anything he directly put it on her. "I don't need it. Just put it on. That belonged to your grandmother when she was alive unless you don't like it." Hearing Huasiqian's words, Huamin felt a little embarrassed to refuse. Otherwise, it would seem as if he despised his grandmother's things. Huasiqian looked at Huamin from head to toe and smiled. "Little sister Min, the dress you're wearing must be expensive." "You're mistaken. It's a high-quality imitation." "Oh really? As a nurse I don't think your salary is that high. But then again your job doesn't pay that much. Have you ever thought about coming back to the Hua Corporation to help me?" "Sorry, I'm not interested in the Hua Corporation." Huamin decisively refused. Huasiqian seemed to have expected Huamin to say this. He just smiled and said, "Oh, do you have a grudge against money?" "No, I have a grudge against you." Huasiqian spread out his hands innocently. "Little sister Mion, I've always been very friendly to you. You shouldn't treat me like this." Huamin didn't say anything. Just then a yin-yang master walked over and said, "It's time to wake up. Go and get ready. We'll be leaving the city at 7 p.m. for the burial." Huamin slowly stood up after hearing this. However, she realized that her knees were too numb from kneeling. As soon as she stood up she fell to the ground. Huasiqian subconsciously went to help her up, but she dodged and fell to the ground. "Why are you doing this? I can't eat you." Huasiqian was a little helpless. Huamin didn't say anything. She slowly stood up with the help of an iron pole and walked towards the resting area. Seeing how stubborn Huamin was, Huasiqian's smile deepened. Huamin found a quiet place to sit down. Suddenly she remembered that her phone was still on. She was probably still on the phone with Qin Chu. Then, he must have heard her conversation with Huasiqian, right? She took out her phone and saw that the call was still going on. She didn't know if Qin Chu was asleep, so she carefully took the phone and asked, "Qin Chu, are you asleep?" Chapter 86. To her surprise, Qin Chu faintly said, "Stay away from that pervert, Huasiqian." For a moment Huamin didn't know how to respond. "Did you hear me?" Qin Chu warned her childishly. I know. The funeral is at 7 p.m., right? Qin Chu overheard the Yin Yang master say over the phone. Yes. Huamin nodded. Then I'll wait for you at the cemetery. It's okay, I'll go to work at the hospital. I've already applied for leave for you. You can rest at home today. Huamin was speechless again. How fast was the Almighty? He even applied for leave. However, she was curious. The clinic had been so busy recently. Would the head nurse be so easy to get leave? The head nurse. She agreed to give me leave? Huamin asked in disbelief. To her surprise, Qin Chu casually said, I called Wu Zhongxing. You win. When she heard Qin Chu call President Wu, Huamin felt like her blood was about to freeze. A nurse intern in the OB/GYN department wanted to apply for leave, and she directly called the hospital director. Was she looking for trouble? But then again, with Qin Chu's status, if he called President Wu, even if it was a year, President Wu wouldn't complain. That's all, see you in a bit. After speaking, before Huamin could say anything, Qin Chu hung up the phone. Coincidentally, just as he hung up, the phone notified him that it was out of battery. For 6 to 7 hours, Qin Chu stayed with her on the other end of the phone and he didn't fall asleep. How strong was his willpower? Sometimes Huamin had an illusion that Qin Chu still loved her deeply, although he never said it. However, that was just an illusion. Most of the time after calming down, Huamin felt that the only thing left between Qin Chu and her was unwillingness. She couldn't accept being dumped 7 years ago. She couldn't accept the one-sided breakup 7 years ago. On the day of the funeral, the weather was gray and the wind was strong. Huamin's heart was heavy. There were more than 60 people in the Hua family, including their relatives. There were also more than 100 guests outside. The grand motorcade consisted of more than 100 black Mercedes-Benzes lined up in a row. The scene was extremely grand. The leading car was a black Rolls-Royce with a portrait of the old lady hanging on the front. All the mourners were dressed in black with white cloth strips on their arms. There were even a few local media outlets that deliberately followed the news and reported on it, creating a huge commotion. Huamin wore a black dress and black sunglasses. She followed behind the crowd and became an inconspicuous presence. Hua Xiqian, Hua Si, Hua Yanyan, and the first madam and second madam followed on either side of Hua Jinghai. Naturally, she was the one who appeared the most on camera. Hua Yanyan was different from yesterday. She cried like a pear blossom in the rain and her eyes were red and swollen. It was heartbreaking to see her. The media gave her a close-up and the host explained in front of the TV. The daughter of the Hua family, Hua Yanyan, attended the funeral. Miss Hua looks very sad and her eyes are red and swollen. I heard that she was keeping vigil for her grandmother last night. Not only is Miss Hua sweet, but she's also very caring. What a rare good girl. Such a kind girl is rare in high society. It's obvious that the Hua family raised them well. When this was broadcast, Zhu Lingling almost vomited when she saw it on the plane. She was very close to Huamin, so she naturally knew about the Hua family's situation. A few stewardesses discussed in private. Hua Yanyan is really good. She's pretty, kind, and even reincarnated into the Hua family. I wonder if she saved the galaxy in her past life. What are you talking about? That woman isn't as good as she looks. She's very evil. Don't believe the media's one-sided story. Zhu Lingling said angrily. If there was one good person in the Hua family, it would definitely be Huamin. The others were all hypocrites. How did you know, Lingling? Are you good friends with Hua Yanyan? A stewardess asked. Chapter 87. How could I be friends with that kind of person? If that were the case, I would be so depressed, Zhu Lingling replied with disdain. The funeral procession went all the way to the North Hill Cemetery. The old lady was buried at the top of the hill. It was said that the cemetery cost 50,000 yuan per square meter. It was shockingly expensive. The Hua family bought over 2,000 square meters of land and turned it into a cemetery for the Hua family. Huamin stood at the side with his glasses on and didn't say a word. Just then Hua Si suddenly walked over and stopped in front of her. What are you looking at? Are you jealous? Dad bought this cemetery for the Hua family. But as an illegitimate daughter, you don't have the right to be buried here, so don't even think about it. Huamin didn't even look at Hua Si and replied, It's such a nice place. I can't afford it. Of course, Hua Si said proudly. So, should I wish you a quick burial? Huamin added. What did you say? Huasi was so angry that he raised his hand and was about to hit her. However, Huamin quietly reminded him, Young Master Hua, don't be impulsive. The media is here and they're just waiting for some pictures to show you. If you want to be in the headlines, then go ahead and hit me. I'll cooperate with you. You'd better watch out for me. Upon hearing Huamin's words, Huasi immediately put down his hand and looked around. Luckily, the media didn't take any pictures of them. He angrily cursed and turned to leave. Huasi was just like Hu Yanyan. He was spoiled and arrogant, so he was part of the Hua family. Huasi was young and aggressive. His competition with Huasiqian was getting more and more intense. He relied on his father's love and his mother's help. He was becoming more and more like the future head of the Hua family. However, Huamin thought that Huasiqian could deal with this brainless guy in a matter of minutes. The only reason why Huasi didn't do anything was because the female celebrity behind him was difficult to deal with. However, she wasn't interested in the Hua family's competition at all. No matter who won or lost, it had nothing to do with her. After the funeral procession, all the motorcade returned to the Hua manor one after another. Apparently, Hua Zhenghai had prepared 60 tables of banquets at a 5-star hotel to thank those who had come to pay their respects. Huamin naturally would not go again. She had done what she should do. Grandma had been buried in peace. It was time for her to leave. After the media and the Hua family left, she slowly walked down the cemetery alone. When he reached the entrance, it started to rain. Huamin stood at the entrance, wondering if he should go to the store in the cemetery to buy an umbrella or go to the bus stop in the rain. Suddenly, a black Maybach 62S slowly stopped in front of the cemetery. It was said that this car was worth more than 11 million yuan, and it was a top-notch model from Germany. Many rich people in China fought to order it, but there were limited places in Asia. In the end, only 6 cars were imported from China. At that time, the news was quite sensational. Huamin could always hear the private gossip of a few young nurses in the OB/GYN clinic. So when she saw this car, Huamin couldn't help but take a second look. However, the person who got out of the car. Wait, why did he look so familiar? Qin Chu was wearing a black slim-fit suit with a small white flower on his chest. He looked like the perfect funeral procession. After he got out of the car, he slowly opened the black umbrella. Then he walked towards Huamin. You? Huamin didn't know what to say when she saw Qin Chu's outfit. She knew that he was dressed like this out of respect for grandma. If I didn't come to pick you up, were you planning on going home in the rain? Qin Chu looked at Huamin and asked. Aren't you here now? Huamin paused for a moment before slowly speaking. Qin Chu was a bit helpless. He took out a white handkerchief from his pocket and wiped the rain off Huamin's forehead. Get in the car. Huamin sat in the top-notch Maybach and looked at the handsome man in front of her who was acting as her chauffeur. At this moment, she felt like the person who saved the bank in her past life wasn't Hu Yanyan. It was her. Qin Chu. Him. Isn't your car too high profile? Huamin couldn't help but ask after holding it in for a long time. Sea City's first Maybach was so high profile that it would definitely attract a lot of attention. Was it really a good idea for him to attract hatred like this? Chapter 88. Qin Chu said faintly, "This is the only black car left in the garage." Huamin was speechless again. Rich people could do whatever they wanted. Qin Chu drove all the way to Imperial Park. After Huamin went upstairs, she suddenly felt a sense of belonging. No matter how busy or tired you were, you would feel at ease when you returned to a place. Maybe it was a habit or because she was too tired, but Huamin curled up on the sofa and fell asleep after changing her shoes. Qin Chu saw her like this and frowned slightly. His heart ached for her. Then he took out a white blanket from the bedroom and covered Huamin with it. Huamian fell asleep in a daze and had a dream. In her dream, her grandmother was sitting on a green rock in front of the temple, embroidering a handkerchief. She heard that her grandmother was born into a rich family and her embroidery skills were excellent. Later on, her family fell apart and she had to wander around with her grandfather. Later on, her grandfather started from scratch and owned a small factory. He became busier and busier, and her grandmother was left to do some handicrafts at home. 25 years ago, before Huamin was born, her grandfather passed away from lung cancer. Old Madame Hua moved out and lived in the temple all year round, saying that she was praying for her grandfather. In the end, she was just an infatuated woman. Huamin and her grandmother had only met a few times, but because of that little bit of kinship she still remembered it to this day. She dreamt that she slowly walked over, leaned on her grandmother's knee and slowly fell asleep. The sunlight from the temple was exceptionally warm and enveloped her whole body. That kind of happiness was indescribable. When Huamin woke up, she saw a white blanket covering her body. It was made of bamboo charcoal fiber and was very smooth when it covered her body. Other than Qin, she couldn't think of anyone else. She looked at her charged phone and saw that it was already 11:30 p.m. It seemed like she had slept for 3 to 4 hours. Huamin was a little hungry. She got up and yawned, then went upstairs to the sauna room on the second floor. There was a public steam room on the second floor where people could take a bath and steam themselves. The decoration was very Korean style. However, he had never used the Huamin because he felt that it was inconvenient because it was public. However, Qin wasn't home today. She was alone at home, so she wanted to sweat it out and get rid of her fatigue. After she finished showering, she realized that she had forgotten to bring a towel. In desperation, Huamin had no choice but to grab a towel from the sauna room, wrap it around the key parts of his body and then carefully walk out. When Huamin walked along the corridor to the bedroom, the door of the study magically opened. Qin sudden appearance left Huamin completely dumbfounded. Then an even more melodramatic scene appeared. In her nervousness she wanted to hug the towels tightly, but the two towels actually loosened. Slowly descending, up, Huamian shrieked and covered her face with her hands, not knowing what to do. This was because she heard a joke before. There was a bathhouse on fire and many beautiful women ran out. Some covered their upper bodies while others covered their lower bodies. Only one beauty calmly walked out and only covered her face. She proudly said that no one would know who she was like this. Then Huamin really did just cover her face. Qin was a little dumbfounded by her actions. Then looking at her exposed body, Qin gulped and tried his best to control a certain desire in his heart. There are only 2 of us in the room, so, is there really a need to cover your face? Qin coughed and asked.